Hyundai starting lineup for the Marlins. Marcell Ozuna out after spraining his left wrist last night. So Christian Yelich moves over to play center field. Jeff Francoeur gets his first start of the series. So does Jeff Mathis, giving JT Realmuto a night off. Echeverria back in the lineup after a night off last night. And there is Mr. DeGrom.
And his Land Rover numbers, as you look at the hits to innings pitched, Ronnie mentioned that as last time. Too many hits for DeGrom over innings pitched. The walks are fine. Got to get back in the groove. He's a big, important cog in this machine.
D. Gordon leads off, takes up and away for ball one, and we're underway. Gordon just 2 for 14 in this series. Ichiro Suzuki on deck. Martin Prado behind him with all the rain. We have a nice sunset shaping up. And DeGrom misses high and falls behind 2-0. Gordon hitting at .269 in his truncated season. Suspended for half the season because of PED use.
You'd look at him and say, no, he doesn't do steroids.
In the air to center field. Not quite enough oomph. And Granderson is there to grab it for the first out.
And your charging, lovable New York Metropolitans, brought to you by Lexus. Look who's out in left field. We mentioned hitting almost 500 in 17 games at AAA. On the infield, 2 heroes last night. Wilmer Flores at second base and Kelly Johnson at third. Darno behind the play. There's Michael Conforto.
His last big league game was August 11th against Arizona. He went down to AAA, absolutely tore it up at Vegas, and hoping that this time his return will be the charm.
Now he's got, let's just remember, he's got postseason experience, and he played well in postseason. If he gets red hot and carries this hot streak that he had in AAA, he's going to be hard to keep out of the lineup.
Ichiro Suzuki hitting second in the order. Well, Terry Collins wanted to give Cespedes and Cabrera a night off. They're nursing their various hurts. The quad for Cespedes, the knee for Cabrera. Also with a wet field, he felt doubly important to sit them. But also, he wanted to get Conforto in the first day and hope that that hot streak could continue.
Well, the September call-ups now have helped this team. Remember, Terry's been playing with a short bench because of the. You didn't know what way they were going to go with Walker. Well, now Walker is going to go. He's not in the picture anymore, but he wasn't able to play the last couple of games. So a short bench for Terry now no longer the case.
Well, Conforto is here. So is Ty Kelly. So the Mets are a little more refortified on the bench. Kevin Plawecki back as well. That's slapped down to third. Kelly Johnson playing third base tonight. Throws out Ichiro for the second out. And DeGrom has retired the first two. Now, before his last start in St. Louis, DeGrom had gone 17 straight starts without giving up a run in the first inning. He got greeted with a leadoff home run by Matt Carpenter in St. Louis to break that streak, and now trying to start a new one tonight.
And as you saw, some frustration. He showed some frustration in the dugout. No one likes to perform poorly. And, you know, everybody, you have these ups and downs in the course of a season. No one is immune.
Here's Prado, 3 for 12 in this series, third in the National League in batting at .319. And he takes a fastball letter high for a strike. DeGrom's been up early on in this game.
He has. This is a Marlin team that's ripe for the plucking. They looked like they were down in the dumps last night. A tough loss. Looks like they've lost a little bit of that spirit. They've had a little bit of that fight kicked out of them.
Now remember, they came into this series ahead of the Mets in the standings, but the Mets have leapfrogged both the Marlins and the Pirates in the course of this series. Now a game and a half behind the Cardinals, who are off tonight, so the Mets could be a game back by the time the night is over. 0-2 to Prado with 2 out. And he takes the slider out of the strike zone.
Well, most importantly, when you're in a charge, a charge for the pennant. And there's the. Always nice to see the broom, a potential broom here. Don Mattingly hoping that is not the case. He needs to win a ball game here. It's the difference between losing 2 games in the standings and 4.
And Prado goes down swinging on the fastball away, and DeGrom's got himself a 1-2-3 opening inning. Good start for Jacob. There's your Geico Mets starting lineup. Kelly Johnson moves into the 3-hole with Cespedes out of the lineup. Wilmer Flores starting more and more against right-handers, and he will now with Neil Walker out for the season. Michael Conforto gets in the 6-hole for his return to the lineup as the Mets face young Jose Urena.
Well, he started out the year, came up in April, and first 16 appearances were in relief. Got sent down at the end of May. Came back after the All-Star break and has started. His last 2 starts have been okay, but he hasn't had success on the win side.
Reyes 5 for 14 in this series.
And he has a delivery, a very unusual delivery, almost like a shove. He brings it to his ear and kind of slings it in there. A little peculiar.
96 miles an hour on the inside corner, and it's 1-2. Mets faced Urania in Miami in the 3rd week in July, and he pitched a very good game. Lost despite giving up just 1 run in 6 innings. And he takes something off and strikes out Reyes with a changeup. And Urania has a strikeout to start his night.
Well, this is a lot on this young man's shoulders here. Marlins trying. Oh, good sinker, Gary. Good pitch. Marlins trying to get out of Dodge with a win. They are struggling as a team. Very, almost like a shove. Very an odd delivery. Like brings the ball back behind his head.
Here's Curtis Granderson, who's had quite a series for the Mets.
I'll take one more look. Just follow his pitching hand. And that's where it gets odd. It doesn't look so bad there, but it is from a hitter. I'm always looking in terms of how would that look if I was up at the plate, and it would be a different kind of unorthodox delivery.
Granderson 3 for 5 in this series, 2 home runs, and maybe just as important, 5 walks in the series. And the 2-0 pitch grounded to Gordon at second, and that's the second out.
Oh, the Coors Light defense for the Marlins. Yelich moves to center field. Remember, he's mainly a left fielder. Francoeur in the lineup. This is I can't remember, Gary, the guy got hurt last night. Ozuna got hurt last night on the dive. Forgive me, folks. Same infield. Echeverria back in the lineup at shortstop. Had a night off. Mathis. I won't say spelling, but he is spelling JT Realmuto. Can he spell it?
Kelly Johnson, last night's hero, hitting 3rd in the order and playing 3rd base. Kelly has had 2 huge bases loaded at bats on this homestand. A pinch hit grand slam in the series against the Phillies, and then the 3-run double in the 8th inning last night.
Isn't it funny, this game, that Kelly Johnson starts out in Atlanta?
He drives one to deep center field. Yelich back. He's got room. And he makes the catch.
Starts out in Atlanta, Gary, and is kind of pining away in a last place team rebuilding, not doing much. Comes.
Christian Yelich leads off the 2nd inning. Yelich has hit a pair of opposite field home runs in this series. 17 home runs for the year now.
Outside of those 2 home runs, they've handled him, though, Gare.
It's a guy that DeGrom has always had trouble with. Yelich 9 for 24 against DeGrom, 375 average. Jeff Francoeur on deck, then Xavier Scruggs for the Marlins in the 2nd. Marlins have just finished off a 10-18 month of August. They were 16-10 in July, 10-18 in August, really putting a huge crimp in their hopes to make it to the postseason.
Always found, Gary, that a lot of the teams that are hopeful, they always seem to wilt in the heat of August. August, for some reason is the month where the real guys step up to the plate most of the time.
Well, it certainly appeared as though the Mets were going to be one of those teams to wilt in August. If you go back to that last road trip, which started in Arizona, the Mets struggled there. They lost the first 2 in San Francisco. Their season really looked dead in the water at that point, and then everything changed those last 2 games against the Giants.
Right. We were talking in Arizona, and when they were hitting them, and I just felt I always said, okay, they got a lot of injuries. To to regular starters. They've got a lot of guys that are filling in, doing the best they can. It's hard to win. But I really felt they were kind of dead.
But those first 18 games in August, they didn't pitch well. I mean, not just the fact that DeGrom didn't pitch well, but you know, you had a lot of things breaking down in the bullpen as well. And these last 11 games have been characterized by guys who have come out of nowhere. The Seth Lugos, the Robert Gazelmans, the Rafael Monteros, to all of a sudden Josh Smoker to prop up a team that really needed their pitching staff to get a boost, and they've gotten that.
If there's going to be, when this season's over, and whether they're in or not, it's the magic going to be there. Are they going to be able to keep it up? Ball 4 to Yelich to lead off the top of the second. If they do get to the promised land in the postseason, those guys are going to have to continue to do it. Now, I don't know if Montero is going to start again. He certainly, I thought he pitched well outside of the walks. I thought he had good stuff. Gazelman showed a lot of heart. And Lugo, to me, I mean, Lugo's got nice stuff. He's got a nice curveball and goes after hitters. Now, this reminds me of Terry Leach when he came up that one year and won 11 games for us.
1987.
And then Rick Anderson another year, or was it the same year? Rick Anderson came in out of nowhere and pitched in. So those things have to happen. That's why you have 25. I know it's baseball jargon. I can't think of the right term.
Turns out to be a lot more than 25. It ends up being more like 40 or 45 over the course of the year, especially with a team that's had as many injuries as this one has. Jeff Francoeur takes inside, and it's 1-1. And you know, we talk about those extra pitchers who have really helped propel this 9 of 11 stretch, but the other piece to that is Jacob DeGrom has got to carry his share. The last 2 starts have been just brutal, but you know what he's capable of, and the Mets need to be able to count on him every time he goes out to give them a chance to win, and that hasn't been happening lately.
Well, you know, we love DeGrom. DeGrom's a great competitor. He's not pleased with his last 2 performances, and there's his last 2 starts. And he's determined, I guarantee you, to pitch, get back on track, and help this team down the stretch.
I mean, just from a historical perspective, the 25 hits he's allowed in those last 2 starts to the Giants and the Cardinals, those are the most hits that any Met pitcher has ever allowed in back-to-back starts. Jason Isringhausen had allowed 24 in back-to-back starts, but Isringhausen threw 14 innings in those 2 starts. DeGrom threw 9 2/3 and gave up 25 hits. It's almost incomprehensible.
Right. And so you got to hope that it was rock bottom to start in St. Louis. I thought he lost his curveball. I thought it all fell apart on him in that start.
Francoeur starting his 3rd game as a Marlins is coming over in a trade from the Braves.
And I really feel, Gary, I hate to interrupt here, but I think it's an important point. I think that the Mets have really benefited from this September 1st call-ups. Now, not so much in the bullpen, but it's given him more arms in the bullpen that Terry can go to. But the bench now, to me, it's the first time the Mets have a really, really good bench for Terry Collins.
We mentioned the arms in the bullpen. The Mets called up Gabriel Noah to give them an extra arm, but they also made a trade last night and picked up Fernando Salas from the Angels, a veteran guy who used to be a closer for the Cardinals. And with Hansel Robles up and down lately and Jim Henderson very much a question mark, Salas a candidate to fill that 7th inning role that the Mets have looked for a solid candidate all year to fill. 2-2 coming. And Francoeur chases outside for the first out of the inning. 2nd strikeout for DeGrom.
A little cutter, which is always a good pitch. Out of the strike zone. Starts as a strike and cuts out of the strike zone. And Francoeur has always been a guy that chases. So that's the kind you can get Francoeur out without throwing strikes. You know, getting back to Salas, too. He's 31 years of age, Gary. He's a veteran who's been in the wars before with St. Louis in his 4 seasons with St. Louis. So it's a nice pickup as an arm out there, not wearing out Henderson and Robles.
There's Xavier Scruggs, 3 for 11 in this series. He's played all the first base for the Marlins in the absence of Justin Bour. Marlins are saying now that they think that Bohr might be able to return for them on their next homestand. He has been a huge loss for them. Everybody, of course, knows about Giancarlo Stanton being down with a groin injury, but Bohr's missed almost 2 months now with a high ankle sprain that just had not gotten any better, and it took a big left-handed power bat out of their lineup.
Well, Giancarlo Stanton's a big blow for this team.
There goes the runner. Darno's throw is on the money, but too late, and pops out of the glove of Flores, and Yelich has a stolen base, his 7th of the year.
You know, this is something I thought that maybe the Marlins should try to exploit. When you're struggling offensively, they're not a team that steals a lot of bases. They're 12th in the National League in stolen bases, but they got some guys that can steal. Try to make it happen, force things.
DeGrom, normally a guy who doesn't get run against much. That's only the 4th stolen base he's given up this year. So Yelich is in scoring position with 1 out. 1-1 to Scruggs, former Cardinal draft choice. And he takes a borderline strike, 1-2.
And there's that high strike, which we've seen a lot this year, Gary, of the umpires calling more of that a little below the letters strike. And I think it's a strike. And I think if the hitters realize that it's going to be a strike and start swinging the bat, they're going to find it's a good pitch to hit.
Jordan Baker, the home plate umpire tonight, the youngest member of this quartet. 1-2 to Scruggs, and he struck him out with a fastball. Back-to-back strikeouts for DeGrom, who's consistently hitting 95 tonight.
Well, it's a good sign right here. Four-seamer, Gare. And he really throws it by Scruggs. That's 2 I've seen now in the last 2 nights where Scruggs hasn't got the barrel out. Early in the first 2 games, Scruggs hurt the Mets on hanging breaking balls. Looks like he's got a slider speed bat. Throw that gas attack at him.
Now Jeff Mathis making his first appearance in the series. JT Realmuto swung the bat extremely well last night, had 3 hits, but he sits and Mathis is in there. His 31st start of the year. Never been much of an offensive player, but having one of his better offensive seasons, hitting .245.
He's made a career in Miami out of being a backup catcher, that's for sure.
He was with the Angels for a long time before that, playing for Mike Scioscia, who was his mentor. It's a pretty good mentor to have as a defensive catcher. Yelich at second with 2 out. It's a certain generation of Met fans who cringe every time they hear Mike Scioscia's name. You know.
Oh, I do too. That thing went over my head.
Very far over your head.
I wish I would. Even Will Chamberlain could have made that play.
Tonight's Toyota Twitter poll. Tweet us at SNYTV. Should rosters expand during the month of September?
That'd be interesting. You know what Bobby Valentine, the former Met manager, feels about that.
I think most managers feel the same way, that it creates an uneven playing field in September. You get some teams that call up 1 or 2 players, some teams that call up 10 or 12 players, and you're dealing with apples and oranges as far as roster size.
And I just stated earlier that this is a big help to the Mets. And Terry Collins now has more bodies on the bench, and I'm not just average bodies. He's got a good bench and good people to pick from to start and then sit.
1-1 to Mathis. Now the breaking ball hit deep down the line, but that'll go foul. So DeGrom got that changeup off, and Mathis got out ahead of it. My feeling about the roster expansion in September is that you should be able to call up as many players as you want, but you should only have 25 eligible players every night. Do it like hockey does it, and have healthy scratches. That it should be a level playing field. Call up as many as you want. There's 37 players, but only 25 are on your active roster on a given night. You know, play the game the same way you play it all year, and you have to make the same choices. And it could be different guys every night, but you get one of those long games where one team has 37 players and one has 26. It's just not fair. Two from DeGrom. And he bounces that one. 3-2.
Well, the one thing, you know, if you get a game that's an early blowout, you're not going to have your bullpen taxed. You've got the young arms to come in and pitch those games, whether you're winning or losing in a game that's out of hand early. So you don't have to go to your horses, and you can really rest your bullpen for the games that are close. That's what I don't like.
3-2. And Mathis takes just outside. Ball 4.
I think DeGrom thought he had that.
Second walk in the inning for Jake, who averages just 2 walks per 9 innings.
Well, close. Let's see. That could have gone either way. The hitter got the call.
Well, that's Jordan Baker behind the plate. We already introduced him. Tim Timmons, Mike Everett, the crew chief, and Paul Emmel rounding out tonight's umpiring crew. They've had all 4 games in this series. 24 pitches already in this second inning for DeGrom, and now he's got to go after the number 8 hitter, Adeiny Hechavarria, with 2 men on.
And you can see he's hitless in this series and the 3 walks. Sat down last night. Had a little spell. No pun intended.
Overplay. 2 out and 2 on. Hechavarria 0 for 5 in this series, hitting .247 for the year.
Well, how about that? That's usually your worst hitter in the order that hits there. Hechavarria is not an easy out. I like him as a player, as a hitter. Not a 300 hitter, but he's a definite threat up there.
Most hitters don't love hitting 8th. You're in such a precarious spot with pitchers able to maneuver around you if need be with the pitcher on deck.
It's also, you're the 8th hitter. I think it's psychologically, it's like, oh gosh, like putting the kid in your pickup game when you're a kid's putting the guy out in the right field that can't run, or if he's the bad athlete.
So you're saying he might be inclined to be picking daisies.
I just think it has a negative, I don't know if intonation is the right word, for the player. But, it's not like, hey, I'm hitting 3rd.
Meanwhile, Keith, you rarely see DeGrom betray any emotion on the mound, but you can see he's a little perturbed, thinking he's getting squeezed right now. That last slider he thought was a strike.
He looks focused. He will fight through his hard, tough outings.
And he gets that call on the corner, and now it's 2-2.
Hey, he's had 2 bad outings in a row. Bad outings where he's been hit hard. He's not used to it.
And remember also, he had a bad outing against the Marlins the last time he faced him. Remember that one down in Miami? He got knocked out in the 4th inning. So he's got a few things to try and work around tonight.
It looks like he's determined and pitching angry, and I have no problem with that.
2 on, 2 out, 2-2 to Hechavarria. And he strikes him out on the high fastball. 3 strikeouts in the inning for Jacob DeGrom.
He's just asking if it was off the plate, Gary. The umpire. The umpire said, okay, he nodded. So he just asked. You were good pickup on your part, Gary.
29 pitch inning for DeGrom, but he gets through it unscathed. Still no score. At Mets.com/combo. Jay Bruce leads off in the home second. Jay's looked a little better the last few nights. 3 for 8 in this series.
Got 2 hits last night.
And he hits one past the mound. Hechavarria right at the bag to grab it. 1 out. So Ureña's retired the first 4, and now Wilmer Flores.
Well, Wilmer, nicely done. I just feel like I can kind of sense Wilmer just feeling more like a big leaguer, getting confident with each game that he plays, and now starting to produce against the right-handers.
Well, that's the key for Wilmer. Up until August 18th this year, so you're talking about 2 weeks ago, Wilmer was hitting .206 against right-handers. Since then, he's hitting .391.
About that.
So all the success he's had this year against left-handed pitchers starting to translate to success against righties. You ask Wilmer about it, he says, doesn't matter to me. Lefties, righties, all the same. But the numbers do tell a story. Wilmer's now built a 9-game hitting streak, the longest of his career. Hit a 2-run homer last night to put the Mets in front early.
Well, like I said it last night, Wally Backman told me that Wilmer will hit, and he will hit in the clutch. So coming from Wally, I tend to be E.F. Hutton. I'll listen.
And that's pulled down the line, but that'll go foul. Well, it's proven to be true. He has been a terrific clutch hitter for the Mets.
Should have bought some of that Flores stock early.
Was that on the exchange? Wilmer homered earlier this year against Urania, and he dribbles one off his foot, a foul ball.
It's good to see from Wilmer too. He's such a good guy. He works hard, and you know he's had to prove himself. He's had his ups and downs. I think he's established himself now as a guy that can make a living off left-hand pitching, and now it's his turn to make. Okay, I can hit right-handers too.
You know what he's also made his living off? The Miami Marlins. Since the start of 2014, only one player has more home runs against the Marlins than Wilmer Flores. Wilmer has 10. Bryce Harper has 12.
Huh.
And he takes that one away. 2-2. 98 from Urania, so he's bringing it. Michael Conforto waits on deck. And a full count to Flores.
Trying to keep the ball away from Wilmer. He's very quick inside. I agree. I think the Marlins have seen enough. And just try to show him and to keep him honest. But when they need to go get him out, they're going to try to get him out away.
Ninth pitch of the at bat coming to Wilmer. And he pops it up. Scruggs into foul territory to get it. 2 out. So now Michael Conforto, his first big league at bat since August the 11th. Michael was in a huge slump when he got sent down, and he could not have been hotter once he was sent down. In 17 games after his demotion to Vegas, he hit .493 with 6 homers and 13 RBIs in those 17 games. Now can he translate it back to the big league? Michael was talking before the game tonight about how in each of his demotions he's tried to do the same thing, and that's basically swing at strikes, which is something he had gotten away from at the big league level.
Well, you know, things speed up. He always impressed me with the beautiful eye at the plate and knowledge of the strike zone. And he struggled. He lost his confidence, started swinging into the bad breaking balls in the dirt, and then it just kind of snowballs. And you need to get sent down, take a deep breath, rediscover your stroke.
He lines one to left center, a base hit for Conforto. That's a nice welcome myself back. Conforto digging for second, and he's in sliding with a 2-out double. Well, Michael Conforto doing exactly what the Mets want him to do.
High changeup, belt high, out of the strike zone, stayed level, and hallelujah, there's your left center field. Just watch him take his stride, balance, stays right there, and goes with it. He started to pull too much, and he's rediscovered, hopefully, left center field.
So it's the Mets' first hit of the night. A double for Conforto, and here's James Loney trying to fight himself out of a slump. Hitless in his last 10 at bats, 0 for 8 in this series.
This ball tails away. It's probably around 3 inches outside corner, but look at him extend the arms. Got good. That means he has good outside corner coverage of the plate to drive a ball like that into the opposite field gap.
Well, if Conforto can get back to any shade of what he was the first month of the season, it provides a very pleasant problem for Terry Collins.
I think he plays, Gary.
Oh, I agree. If he hits, he's got to play.
He's going to play, and it's going to have to be in center field.
Yep.
How many games did he play in center field?
He was playing there every other day while he was down in Vegas.
6 of his 17 games down there were in center field.
Remember, he played a little bit there before he got sent down as well. So, you know, I mean, Granderson hasn't played a ton of center either. I mean, the Mets, other than Deaza, don't really have a center fielder on the roster right now. But if he hits, he's got to play. They're going to walk Loney intentionally now after falling behind 3-0, and they'll bring up Travis d'Arnaud with 2 on.
Well, Travis d'Arnaud was the key at bat in last night's ball game that set up the bases loaded double for Kelly Johnson to win that ball game in the bottom of the 8th. He was walked by JT Ramos, not JT, AJ Ramos. They're going to Realmuto, and
too many initials.
So that was I'm sure Ramos went home kicking himself on that base on balls.
Well, Travis also had 2 hits last night, and over the last 12 games, he's very quietly at .349. So he's brought his numbers back up to .254 for the year. Only 14 runs batted in for Travis in 205 at bats, and a chance to do some damage here with 2 out and 2 on. Let's see what he's done with runners in scoring position, and that's why those RBI numbers are so low.
Urena's coming in with 21 walks, make that 22 walks now in 55 plus innings. That's too many walks.
Conforto at second, Loney at first with 2 out. 24-year-old Jose Urena making his 7th start of the season. His 4th since his latest recall. His last 2 have been really good. And d'Arnaud fouls it back. Last time out for Urena, he faced San Diego, gave up just 1 run and 4 hits over 5 2/3, lost the game 1-0. Could you fit all the pitchers we've seen this year with numbers in the 60s in the back of that pickup?
I hear you.
Take an awfully big bet. One, 2. And a nice job by Mathis to keep that from going to the backstop. Not quite sure how he did it.
Urena's 24 years old. He'll be 25. Turned 25 on September 12th. So you see what you get here with the walks. He's a diamond in the rough. Will he ever get command of his secondary pitches, all of his pitches? That's the big question for every pitcher coming up.
2-2. That's too high. And a full count to d'Arnaud with Jacob DeGrom on deck. So DeGrom had to throw a ton of pitches to get through a troubled top of the 2nd. And now Urena facing the same fate here in the bottom of the 2nd. Conforto and Loney will be running with 3 and 2 and 2 out. And d'Arnaud takes it outside, ball 4, and the bases are loaded. So they walk Loney intentionally to get to d'Arnaud. An unintentional walk fills the bases, and DeGrom will come to bat.
And that's no easy chore. Facing DeGrom, left-hand hitter. He is a tough out. You see his numbers on the year as a batter.
Maybe he should go chat with Kelly Johnson before he comes to bat with the bases loaded.
6 for 41, 2 RBIs and a double.
Mets as a team have been swinging much better with the bases full the last couple of weeks. And a big rip by DeGrom on a first pitch sinker, 0-1. Conforto now at third after his 2-out double. Loney at second and d'Arnaud at first. And DeGrom takes a strike, 0-2. Jacob the other day was used as a pinch hitter for the 5th time in his career. Still looking for his first pinch hit. Right now just trying to put it in play on 0-2.
Ooh. A little gas up in the strike zone.
27 pitches in this second inning for Urania after DeGrom threw 29 in the top of the inning. So far neither is cracked.
Okay, reshuffle the deck.
And DeGrom rides it to center field. Yelich diving, and he makes the catch. Yelich playing shallow with DeGrom batting, and it paid off for him. Looked like a sure base hit, and Yelich came charging and diving and saved a couple of runs.
That's a heck of a play right there.
Well, we saw Ozuna make a tremendous diving catch in center field last night against Flores that cost him a sprained wrist. Yelich takes his spot and makes an even better play. Actually a corner outfielder in his career, but playing center field tonight, and he made a very important play.
Top of your screen. See how shallow he's playing, but still had to get a great jump to lay out and make this play. Save a run from scoring. Gets by him. That's 2 runs.
52nd game in his career that he started in center field.
Excuse me, that would have been 3 runs. Bases were loaded.
Jose Urania 1 for 10 this year, 2 for 23 in his major league career. So both pitchers scuffled in that second inning, but neither one allowed a run. This is the most bizarre thing this season, is that Jacob DeGrom has had trouble getting opposing pitchers out. They have 12 hits against him already this year, 12 for 36. And now he's behind Urania 3-0. It's got to be like a mental block or something.
Possibly. That's why I always say, never watch the games or listen to the broadcast when you're a player and you're not going good. You don't need any of the negative waves, like Donald Sutherland and Kelly's Heroes, telling Moriarty cut with the negative waves.
Do you think he doesn't know by himself without listening?
I don't know. I don't think he does. He know precisely that they're hitting 320 against
Not the
I don't
numbers,
know.
but he's got to know he's given up an inordinate number of hits to pitchers.
Yep. It's better not to pile on the numbers.
3-2 coming, and that's outside, and he walks Urania. Third walk already for DeGrom, first time through the batting order. Here's your Mets Power Pitchers of the Week, brought to you by East Coast Power and Gas. Home ERA, DeGrom second to the 2 Cubs, or third to the 2 Cubs. Kyle Hendricks and Jason Hamill. Hendricks, who leads the league overall in ERA. Don't think anybody had that in the pool when the year began. So now D. Gordon, who flied out his first time up, with the pitcher Urania at first, and Loney playing in front of him. And Gordon shows bunt, but he was just bluffing. Ball 1. Gordon is always a threat to bunt, and here it would be more, I would think, for a hit as much as for a sacrifice.
He's swinging the bat. It's a nice hole. Watch Loney. I've always hated that. You got to hold the runner on, left-hand hitter. Can set up a first and third real quick, Gare.
Double play ball if they hurry. The turn by Reyes. Not in time.
Quick.
Against Gordon's speed. Awful hard to double him up.
Ooh,
and Reyes unleashed a bullet, and they still didn't get him.
Flores comes in and gets it quick, gives him the feed. Reyes with the strong arm. Cannot. Ooh, that's close.
Very close.
Little tie base goes to the runner. Safe.
Yep.
That's just burning the trail down the first base line.
So now Gordon a threat to steal. 15 this year. 58 last year to lead the league. And Ichiro takes up and away for ball one.
Now that first and third still stands. First and third, a base hit in that hole between first and second, with the first baseman holding the runner on. That's an automatic first and third with D. Gordon. You got a guy that can handle the bat right there in Ichiro.
Ichiro slapped one to third and was thrown out his first time up. DeGrom has already walked 3 tonight. Unlike him. And now behind Ichiro 2-0 with Prado on deck. And now 3-0.
It's very interesting that we've never seen DeGrom get these 3-0 counts so early. He's usually around the plate throwing strikes here. Sometimes I think he throws too many strikes.
Well, as we mentioned at the outset, they were working on his arm angle during his bullpen session, feeling as though he had gotten his arm a little too high and his ball was straightening out. And you wonder when you try and take that kind of thing into a game, whether sometimes you get caught in between and maybe you wind up in a situation like this where you have trouble throwing strikes.
Dan Warthen watching diligently his charge there.
Behind 3-1. And Ichiro slaps one to second. Flores with the flip. Reyes with the turn. And again. Oh, got him. I'm not sure about that. We'll wait to see if the Marlins challenge it. Naked eye, it looked as though Ichiro might have beaten it out. But the first base umpire, Tim Timmons, called him out. And the Mets are going to stay on the field. I think this will get overturned.
I think he beat it.
Yep.
Come on, guys.
So we'll get a challenge from the Marlins and almost certainly get this call overturned. I mean, from here, it's clear that Ichiro beat the play to first base, and for some reason Tim Timmons didn't see it that way.
Now you've had 2 double plays with 2 speedsters that beat it out. Let's watch Wilmer at second base. Is he coming in hard to get this ball? He's got to come to it a little quicker. There, he did it better the other one, where Gordon's just tough to beat out. But it's good for he's got to know he's got to come to the ball and cut that distance down, get to it quick, and give it to Reyes.
Play under review brought to you by Mazda. Driving matters. And this shouldn't take long, and it doesn't. And the play will be overturned, and the Marlins win the challenge. So the inning continues with Ichiro at first and 2 out, and Martin Prado coming up. So a leadoff walk to the pitcher, and then 2 potential double play balls, but with first Gordon and then Suzuki going down the line, the Mets unable to turn it either time, and that keeps the door open for Prado, who struck out his first time up. Ichiro has stolen 10 bases this season, including 1 in this series. 508 for his career. Marlins have already stolen 1 base tonight. Yelich stole 1 in the second inning, and DeGrom will keep an eye on Ichiro. .42, but still has wheels. And the slider out of the strike zone to Prado, ball 1.
This guy wants to take a picture of me. Hi. Okay, you got it. Thank you. I got a game to call here.
It's nice of you to pose for him.
Says I can multitask in between pitches.
You are kind to your public.
I try. I can be a little testy, though.
Well, it's just that there are so many of them and only one of you.
My biorhythms are down. I'm a little difficult, or I got a little cold. They were right down there. Yeah. Yeah. Game.
So many people to please, so little time. Good change up by DeGrom, 2-1 to Prado.
He's handled pitched Prado tough. This is the second at bat here. Struck out Prado the first time.
Well, they got the picture.
They did.
I hope they don't try and sell it.
Well, can't stop that. No such thing as bad publicity, Gare.
Really?
I don't. Well, depends.
I could give you a few
I can
examples.
too.
Recent ones.
Scratch that.
Scratch it, just don't text it.
I'm going to cut your mic.
3-1 to Prado. There goes Ichiro. The pitch outside, ball 4. And there's the 4th walk DeGrom has given up in the first 3 innings. How unusual.
But not missing by much. That's going to get Dan Warthen out there to have a little chit chat. I don't think Dan's particularly worried. He's just missing. I think Dan just doesn't want him to get frustrated.
In the last inning, DeGrom felt he was getting squeezed a little bit by Jordan Baker and had a couple of words with Baker when the inning was over. I don't think that's the case in this inning. I think it's more about DeGrom just being a little bit off.
And he's just missing.
Follow Mets Baseball live with the MLB.com at Bat app, which includes game day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball, on your phone and tablet. So DeGrom is yet to give up a hit, but he's now walked 4 Marlins. This is shades of Rafael Montero on Monday, when Montero in the first game of this series walked 6 in 5 innings, but didn't give up a run. See if DeGrom can have the same ability to pitch around the walks. He's got to face Yelich, who walked his first time up. Right now, the most dangerous bat in this lineup. 2 out and 2 on. And Yelich pulls one into center field, a base hit. Ichiro Suzuki will score the first run of the game. Prado goes first to third. Yelich comes through with an RBI single, the Marlins' first hit. And it gives Miami a 1-0 lead.
Oh, Yelich continues to drive in runs this year for this ball club. First ball, fastball hitting, not a good pitch. Up and over the middle. That is the 80th run driven in by Yelich this year. He is having himself a really productive season. There's 29 games left. He has a shot to drive in 100. He's clearly going to drive in 90. And there's Prado, always a good base runner. Realizes the ball's hit to the left of Granderson. And Granderson does not have the strong arm. Never hesitated.
Francoeur fouls one back. We'll go back earlier in this inning. Mets unable twice to turn double plays because of the speed of Gordon, the speed of Suzuki. And that keeps the inning alive and allows the Marlins to scratch out a run. Francoeur struck out his first time up. Prado now at third. Yelich at first with 2 out. And DeGrom keeps it a 1.5 foot out of the strike zone and gets Francoeur to chase it. Frenchie will go through stretches where he takes a few pitches, tries to be a little more patient, but it always comes back to the same thing. He's up there to swing the bat and swing it hard. 5 for 15 in the Miami uniform. And Frenchie lifts one to right, and Bruce is right there waiting for it. That retires the side, but the Marlins played the game's first run. Yelich with a 2-out RBI hit. 1-0 Miami in the third, or nothing. Mets down 1-0 as they come to bat in the bottom of the third. Mets have been behind in every game in this series. Second time through the batting order for Jose Urena, and he misses up and away to Jose Reyes. Reyes struck out on a changeup his first time up.
Jose has been the spark. There's no question about it. And I was a little concerned that he had missed so much time that maybe he wouldn't be able to get his act together in the limited time left in the season when the Mets picked him up. But my gosh, was I wrong. He is hitting at a .338 clip since coming off the DL. That's 18 games. Fabulous. 16 runs scored. Everything you want from him. Playing great third base, Gary. Really taken to third base.
Yeah, for a brand new position for him. He had a couple of errors last night, but that's certainly not been the norm.
What's great about Jose, he's even though he's hitting at a .338 clip, but his on base percentage is almost 400.
Two, and he lines one just past the ear of Ureña. Lost his glove getting out of the way. Ureña survives, but gives up the leadoff hit to Reyes.
Well, all 4 games here as we watch this rip. Duck. Beautiful hitting. All 4 games now, the Marlins have gotten on top, scored first, and the Mets have answered all the first 3 games with runs of their own. 2 to take the lead, 1 to tie. See if they can do it tonight.
There's Granderson, who grounded out his first time up. Curtis in the 2-hole tonight with Cabrera sitting out. Both Cabrera and Cespedes out of the lineup tonight. Terry Collins is going to have to manage their playing time the rest of the way. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary, the other night we were talking about Kelly Johnson and how he's changed his approach at the plate to be more like Daniel Murphy is at this point in his career. And the big aspect of that change is that Johnson is trying to keep his hands inside the baseball and really be short and compact. You would have seen as Granderson grounds out that when Johnson is on deck, as you're going to take a look right now, watch how he tries to keep those hands in, constantly worried about being short to the baseball so he can drive those inside pitches out to right field.
Well, I've heard that, and it's something that I'm not a big fan of because you can get in the habit and not be able to cover the outside corner. But a lot of times, it's like in golf, you try something new and it works for a while. You're doing something different that's going to make you more strong inside. It takes a while to get around the league. You can take advantage of it.
Johnson flied out to center field his first time up. Reyes at second with 1 out. After that slow ground ball by Granderson, Prado had no play on Reyes. So they got the tying run to scoring position with 1 out. And Ureña misses high for ball 1. Well, Kelly Johnson returning to the Mets for the 2nd straight year from Atlanta, and as was the case last year, his play has improved after the deal.
And you'd look at that and say, as he grounds to first here, you say, well, 20 RBIs in 60 games. But he's driven in some, down the stretch here, he's driven in some big runs, late and close. Love that term.
So now Jay Bruce with a runner at 3rd and 2 out. Bruce grounded out to short his first time up. That's where we were last night.
Yeah.
Up in the promenade. That was fantastic.
Nice view. Did we take some seats away?
No.
No, we were in a.
We were blocking some people who were sitting in the promenade club, but they seemed to be okay with that.
Well, let's see if Jay Bruce can come through in the clutch here. He sure needs it.
Reyes ducking down the line at 3rd, trying to get the pitcher's attention. As Bruce fouls back the fastball 0-2.
You got Prado way off the line, and Prado saying, "Go ahead. You want to fool around? Be my guest." There's 2 outs. It's up to the pitcher not to let Jose have any chance of stealing home plate, nor letting him rattle him.
So that's the thing. It's the rattling part, drawing a balk, something like that.
Right.
That's what Reyes has in mind.
When you're pitching from the stretch.
Bruce goes down to the high fastball. And so the second strikeout for Orena gets him through the third inning. 1-0 Marlins after 3. Fourth inning, Xavier Scruggs leads off against Jacob DeGrom. Gets a first pitch curveball in for a strike. Scruggs struck out his first time up. One of 4 strikeouts for DeGrom. The problem for DeGrom has been the 4 walks over the first 3 innings. And that's led to a high pitch count. Gets ahead on Scruggs 0-2.
Bottom half of the order. 6, 7, and 8 and the potential 9. Nice lower half of the order to get things, have a nice quick inning.
A lot of Navy personnel in the building tonight.
In their summer whites.
It's their best uniform.
In the Navy.
Village people?
I almost went to the Naval Academy. It wasn't going to happen because I wanted to play pro ball. I got congressional consent to go to Navy out of high school.
5-year commitment, you know.
That's why I didn't go.
Roger Staubach did it.
So did the other big guy, the Commodore.
David Robinson. He got it waived though.
Right. Well,
but Staubach actually did go and serve in the Navy for 5 years and then started his pro career.
Well,
it was amazing.
Mr. Robinson went in for the submarine duty. He was too big for the submarines.
7'1", it's a problem. Das Boot. 3-2 coming. Little tapper back to DeGrom. He barehands it. Little style on that one, and he gets Scruggs for the first out. Didn't really have to, but it looked nice.
No. Piece of cake.
One thing about pitchers, they all have those long fingers.
Not all of them. Most of them.
Most of them.
You should have seen J.R. Richards' hands. Oh my gosh, he held the ball. He about choked it. Just the most enormous hands I've ever seen on a pitcher.
I was always fascinated looking at Pedro Martinez's hands because Pedro is not a big man, but his fingers are so long it looks like he has an extra extension on his digits.
Bruce Sutter had long fingers.
Lined into center field, a base hit for Jeff Mathis, so he's aboard for the second straight time.
Mathis gets a hanging breaking ball. Didn't break, just kind of sat up there on a tee. Stayed back, didn't try to do too much with it. Lucky it wasn't a power hitter up there. But you're right about that split finger. You've got to have long fingers, and Bruce certainly had those, and he was the forerunner of that pitch.
Echeverria takes a big cut. Change up grip.
You know why he's doing that, don't you? And I will explain shortly. You have one pitch that has an odd grip, and if you hold the ball like we did in Little League when we pitched with the fastball grip, then you got to go into your stretch or your windup. You got to fiddle around the glove to get that grip, that peculiar grip, and that could be a giveaway. If you have the changeup grip, it's easy to go to the fastball grip or slider grip without giving away a change. Hitters aren't going to be able to, and Rusty Staub, if that was the case, would pick up on that in a New York minute.
Pitcher flaring his glove as he.
Flaring or just even digging in there, making that change to throw a changeup.
Echeverria hits it out to right, and Bruce is right there.
And
2 out.
You also.
We had a Twitter poll result. We asked, should rosters expand the month of September? And nearly 3/4 of you said yes.
It's nice to be able to see, I think, with this teams that are calling up their young, promising players from the minor leagues and the AAA level almost all the time. The teams that aren't in the hunt, it gives the fans a look at the potential future.
I think it's a great tradition. It's something that baseball does differently from every other sport in terms of giving more players an opportunity the final month of the season once the minor league season ends. I really have a problem, though, with the competitive imbalance when you get in pennant race games. And I think you can do both. You can bring up players and still limit the number available for each game. And that solves the problem. I know every manager I talk to gets incensed about it. They'll say that I'm preparing for an entirely different sport for 1/6 of the season. It doesn't make any sense. Team might have 7 relievers one day and then have 15 the next day. Tapper back to DeGrom, a long way to get it. Close play, and off the bag comes Loney, and Ureña's safe. DeGrom took a lot of time getting to that ball and getting rid of it, and the pitcher Ureña, who can get down the line really well, has himself an infield hit.
I think he beats it. Was the umpire ready to call him out?
No. He was off the bag.
Oh, way off the bag. That would have been. He's just trying to get out of the way. I was going to say, give him a night chart if that was the case.
He missed the last one. So D. Gordon bats with 2 out and 2 on. So DeGrom, although he's not giving up the volume of damage he did against the Giants and Cardinals, still not having himself an easy time of it by any means. 4 walks and now 3 hits. Gordon is flied out and into a fielder's choice, but beat out a potential double play at the end of that fielder's choice in the 3rd. That was key to getting the Marlins their run.
Outfield defense, check it out. Very shallow in left field. That's Conforto. Granderson, slight shade, and shallow in center.
And Gordon hits it well to right center field. Over comes Granderson, and he runs it down. Playing shallow and toward left, and Granderson really had to get going to make sure that ball didn't get to the gap. Curtis flags it down. Keeps it a 1-0 game.
Hey, watch it. Now something erupts. Reyes and Olivo trying to get at each other. Wow. And now I've got a wild scene.
Final weekend of the season, 2007. The Mets were in the midst of the most epic collapse in baseball history. And on that final weekend, Miguel Olivo and Jose Reyes, who were friends away from the diamond, started that little ruckus, which really inspired the Marlins.
Your call was that they were both going after each other. It was Olivo going after Reyes. And poor Sandy Alomar Sr. got caught in the middle of that.
He did.
He was the Sandy Alomar sandwich there.
Wilmer Flores leads off in the 4th inning. What I remember is in the wake of that tussle, the Marlins hung a sign in the end of their runway heading to their dugout at Shea before the final game of the season, alluding to that as an inspirational tool. And as it turned out, they went out that last day and put a real hurting on Tom Glavine in the 1st inning.
That was painful to watch that fold.
Flores pops it up. And Scruggs is there to grab it. And of course, as fate would have it, the next year as well, the Mets and Marlins met on the final week of the season, and the Marlins broke the Mets' hearts on the final day again.
They did.
But what gets lost in all of that, the last Saturday in 07, the second to last game, John Maine pitched the game of his life, carried a no-hitter into the 8th, struck out 14.
Right.
Kept the Mets alive. And the Saturday in 08, Johan Santana pitched an unbelievable game on 3 days rest, pitching with a bad knee. Best game he pitched as a Met other than his no-hitter, but certainly the most important game he did, again to keep them alive. And again, it went for naught when the Marlins won on the final day. Michael Conforto drilled a double to left center in his first at bat back from the minor leagues. All over baseball today, rosters have expanded, so players who've been in the minor leagues are either back or some getting their first big league experience. In some cases, the call-ups came earlier. Note the Dodgers and Andrew Toles, a guy who was released by Tampa Bay in spring training this year, but has put on a huge show for the Dodgers the last 3 weeks, helping them keep first place. Hit a 9th inning grand slam to win a game yesterday. It's funny how those things work, right?
Yep, it's catching lightning in the bottle. Luck of the draw. Interesting to look at the infield defense, Gary. Remember when Conforto, before he was sent down, they put severe shifts on him. But look, it's still a shift, and it shouldn't be able to do that to him. Oh, a guy.
And that hits him.
Slider.
Conforto's on base.
The old slider. They tried to. Okay, you got a base hit to the opposite field on a pitch away. They attacked him inside this at bat. This is a slider, not on purpose.
Got him on the shin.
On the shin.
Get all the latest news and reactions from tonight's Jets-Eagles preseason game in Philly on the jetsblog.com, part of the SNY.TV blog network. There's James Loney, who was intentionally walked his first time up. Conforto at first and 1 out. And Loney bloops one into shallow center. Yelich coming on and gets there for the 2nd out. And back to first goes Conforto. Yelich continues to play a shallow center field, and it continues to pay for him.
Yes, it does. d'Arnaud, Gary, walked last night. That set up Kelly Johnson. He walked his first at bat, and DeGrom almost was robbed of a bases loaded base hit. And I think, Gary, it's a good matchup for Urania, a righty against a righty. It's a terrific matchup.
I love when you break it down. Give us that inside info. Conforto at first with 2 out. And d'Arnaud pops it up. Echeverria, 2 hands for the out.
Very nice.
Side retired.
I love 2 hands.
And Matt. That's how it sounded on NHK 3 weeks ago when Ichiro Suzuki reached the 3,000 hit plateau with a triple at Coors Field.
Thought it was a great call.
Could you translate for us? Ichiro's 0 for 2 tonight. Scored the only run of this game after reaching on a forced play in the 3rd. Well, Ichiro now has 3,012 hits, 27th on the all-time list. Bearing down on Rafael Palmeiro for the next spot. 8 hits away. DeGrom just not sharp. Not leaving balls in the middle of the plate and having them hit out of the ballpark the way he did the last 2 starts against the Giants and Cardinals, but just erratic tonight.
So Ichiro will turn 43 October 22nd. So he's a Libra, born the cusp of Scorpio like myself.
Think he grew up a Mickey Mantle fan like you?
I don't think so.
Be worried, be wearing some derivative of 7. Martin Prado on deck, then Christian Yelich in the 5th. And DeGrom strikes him out. 5 strikeouts for Jake. The 5th inning is brought to you by your Tri-State Ford dealers, who invite you to test drive a new Ford. You'll discover why Ford is the total package. Is there something that characterizes Libra on the cusp of Scorpio?
Well, I could be wrong, but I understand that if you're on the cusp, which is between, I think it's a 4 or 5 day window in between the actual change date of the sign, that you actually could possibly have more traits of the other sign. And you know, Scorpios, you got to be careful with them. It could be dangerous.
You mean Scorpios or actual scorpions?
Don't quote me on that.
Prado has struck out and walked tonight, 0 for 1.
Good cut by Prado. Good fastball. Outside corner knees.
Are we still in the dawning of the age of Aquarius?
Oh, that ship has sailed. Was great back in the 60s, early 70s.
But it's supposed to last a long time, right? Isn't it like 1,000 years, the age of Aquarius? That's hit to center field, hit well. Granderson chasing back and gets there. 2 out. I'll tell you what, Curtis Granderson has done a perfectly adequate job playing center field.
He has not made any mistakes, Garrett, since he's been spot play out there. And remember, it makes it doubly tough when you're not playing a position every day. You know, he hasn't played that much over there, and when he's been out there, he's made all the catches. He gets a good. You can get a better jump in center field, and Curtis has been getting good jumps because you get a better read of the ball off the bat in center field because you're behind the pitcher. And you're at home, folks. You're basically getting this kind of look, but a little bit lower. What Curtis sees, and you get an idea as to where the ball's going to be pulled or hitting the opposite field, where the corner outfielders are they're looking in at kind of a right angle. It's not the easy angle for them.
Harder to read the swing. A couple of curveballs from DeGrom, a ball and a strike to Yelich, who has the only RBI tonight. Singled in a run in the 3rd. His 10th career hit against DeGrom. Yelich has more hits against DeGrom than any other hitter. Good high fastball, 1-2.
Elevates, he chases.
Jake trying for his first 1-2-3 inning since the 1st. Already at 90 pitches with 2 out in the 5th. One and 2 to Yelich. And the curveball pulled through the hole. Another base hit for Yelich. So the Marlins have their 4th hit of the night. Yelich has half of it.
Breaking ball, and it was down, but too much over the middle of the plate, I believe. And that's just a pretty swing. Definitely. You see the circle? Well struck.
So a 2-out base runner. Yelich has already stolen a base tonight. Jeff Francoeur at the plate has struck out and flied out 0 for 2. Takes it off the corner for ball 1. Now DeGrom is due to lead off in the bottom of the 5th inning. And how much longer it takes him to finish off this top of the 5th might dictate whether he gets to bat. Change up, ball and a strike.
We got ourselves a little pitcher's duel.
It goes that way about every day for Miami. There goes Yelich. Darno's throw into the runner, and Yelich has his second stolen base of the night and his 8th of the year.
All right, that's enough of that. If he gets back on base, he's got to be held tight.
You remember when Darno first came back from the rotator cuff, how well he was throwing? Seems to have gotten away from that.
And it seems like the teams have stopped stealing on the Mets. And now be very curious. The next team in, remember, set the tone in spring training with stolen bases. And don't think they're not going to try to steal the pants off the Mets. Don't take that literally, folks.
Was that the Nationals who began doing that the first game of spring training this year? Francoeur drives one into the gap in right center, and that'll bring home Yelich. Cut off deep by Granderson, and Francoeur into second base with an RBI double, and it's 2-0 Miami.
Well, they got Francoeur out away off the plate the first 2 times at bat, Gary. Maybe to the well one too many times. Fastball away. He was going right up the middle. He made the adjustment there, and he puts a hurt on the DeGrom as well as the Metsies.
First RBI as a Marlin for Jeff Francoeur. 2-0 Miami. And now Xavier Scruggs, and that's going to get the Mets bullpen moving around. Scruggs is 0 for 2, struck out and hit a comebacker. Again, DeGrom leads off the next half inning, so this may be it for him.
I just would hate to pull. I know he's got 95 pitches, 96 now.
Newcomer Fernando Salas is up, just arrived late this afternoon.
Just like to see him get out of this inning. He's leading off next inning. That's the National League for you. You know, that's a case, Gary, where if DeGrom, he's got the 4 walks, pitch count up. If DeGrom had 70-something pitches, 75. Terry with a 2-0 ball game, bottom of the 5th would probably let him lead off because he swings a good bat.
Of course. But at this pitch count, it's almost certain that he's going to bat for him.
Did I state the obvious?
Well, sometimes you have to. Once you state the obvious, then you can move into the esoteric and expand on your point. Scruggs drives one to right center. That's going to get to the gap and back to the wall. Francoeur is in, and Scruggs into second base. Another RBI double makes it 3-0 Miami. 3 straight 2-out hits against DeGrom have produced 2 runs. This one coming on a 0-2 pitch.
Both right-hand hitters going into the opposite field. Flat slider, Gary, there. Didn't get on top of that slider. Stayed on the same plane. Didn't break much. Hanger right there, and that's the pitch that Scruggs can handle.
Well, the first 4 innings had not been easy for DeGrom, but he was able to skate around some trouble. Trouble erupting all of a sudden here in the 5th with 2 out and nobody on. Yelich got it started, then back-to-back doubles by Francoeur and Scruggs to play a couple of runs, and now the Mets are in a 3-0 hole. And Jeff Mathis comes up. Mathis has walked and singled to center tonight. And a fastball strike to Mathis. Gabriel Noah up alongside Fernando Salas in the Mets bullpen. Both arrived today. Noah back from the minors. Salas coming from the Angels on a last-minute trade. Yesterday was the last day to acquire a player from another organization to make that player potentially eligible for the postseason. And the Mets made the move for Salas right before the midnight deadline.
So this has turned into another tough outing for DeGrom here. A little troublesome.
Hundred pitches now for Jake, and still not through the 5th inning. 1-2 to Mathis, and he got him with a changeup to end the inning. 6 strikeouts for DeGrom, but a disappointing finish to his outing as he gives up a pair in the 5th. Halfway through, it's 3-0 Miami. Hammered as he was in the last 2 outings, not a particularly good one, and now he is done for the day. And Ty Kelly will bat for him, leading off in the bottom of the 5th. Kelly had 48 bats for the Mets before his latest trip to Las Vegas. He laces one to left field, and Frank Corover to get it for the first out. So a hard hit ball by Kelly as a pinch hitter. Well, here's DeGrom a moment ago. He went into the dugout, headed toward the tunnel, and you see this little gesture here. He wants somebody to follow him, and who's that somebody? Well, it's the trainer, Ray Ramirez. So I don't know what that's all about, and we'll try and find out. But it would appear from what we just saw that Jake had some kind of an issue, a physical issue that he needed attention with as he came out of the game. Reyes is 1 for 2 at a base hit to center his last time up. One of just 2 hits for the Mets so far tonight.
And it's important to note here that Urania doesn't go deep in games. The most he's gone this year is 6 innings as a starter. So there'll be some bullpen activity coming up. He will not finish this game.
In his favor, though, is the fact that his pitch count is pretty low right now. Just 66 pitches with 1 out in the 5th. Curtis Granderson on deck. And Reyes jumps back 2-2.
Well, he's got a strong arm. I think Don Mattingly would like nothing better to get 7 out of him, and his bullpen's been really worked pretty good in this series.
Well, the guy who normally pitches the 8th inning, of course, is A.J. Ramos, and after his performance last night and throwing 30 pitches, hard to believe he'd be back out there tonight. So if they can get it right to Barraclaw and Rodney, it would certainly work in the Marlins' favor if they're able to hold the lead.
Urania lost his hat there.
Not the first time. A lot of hair. Here's your Verizon trivia question for tonight. Who was the first Mets pitcher to face the Marlins franchise? So that would have been in 1993, the first year the Marlins were in the National League.
I have no clue because I wasn't watching baseball in 1993.
Well, if you were a Met fan, you might have preferred that you weren't watching baseball in 1993.
It was a tough year.
103 losses. That's pulled through the hole, a base hit. Reyes has his 2nd hit of the night.
Continues to wear it out.
7 for 17 now in this series.
So, Gary, when Reyes first came back and we were evaluating him up here, I told you right away that after around 3 or 4 games that he hadn't lost his bat speed.
Yes, you did.
And that he would be fine. And he sure is. That's all I was looking for, is bat speed.
There's Granderson, who's been up twice and grounded out both times. Urania, when he takes his stretch, is barely stopping. Page Bob Davidson. Paging Bob Davidson.
Bob's one of the few umpires that are left that was around when I played. He broke in when I was, I believe, a Cardinal.
Of course, he was one of the umpires who left in the mass resignation, only to be rehired later.
When Bob first came up, he was a little uptight, had a little short fuse, and then as he got more comfortable, he kind of relaxed.
Granderson gets one out in the air to center field, and Yelich ranges over. Reyes tagged at first but stays put, and that's the 2nd out. Monday on Mets Insider, New York has always been known for its passionate fan base. Hear from some first-year Mets players about how they deal with the pressure and high expectations that come with wearing a Mets uniform. On Mets Insider, presented by WB Mason, Monday at 4:30, only on SNY. That's 4:30 p.m.
Okay.
You don't have to get up really early. We have a game at 1 o'clock that day, you know, Monday, Labor Day.
You do.
In Cincinnati.
You and Ronnie.
Well, I mean, we as a group,
I'm out of this
as an
one.
organization,
I'm out.
as a network,
You can't
all
drag me
part
in.
of the team here.
I'll see you Wednesday. 12:15 game Wednesday. I've got 12:30. Okay, I got Labor Day, and as you do.
So it doesn't trouble you at all that the Mets are playing an 8 o'clock game here Sunday night, and there's rain in the forecast, and then have a 1 o'clock game in Cincinnati the next day?
It will have absolutely no effect on me.
Well, that settles that.
I will DVR it if I have to, if it's a big long rain delay. I am hopeful, and I will be using all my positive waves to keep the rain away so you guys can get to Cincinnati.
Well, I'm getting to Cincinnati because we're not working Sunday night. It's an ESPN game.
That's right.
I'm more concerned about the players.
Right, exactly.
I mean, that's a ridiculous turnaround. Now, Bartolo Colon's going to pitch Monday. They'll send him ahead, but
As they should.
else.
As they should.
If you have a rain delay that stretches that game past midnight,
It would be, you know, it's not a long flight to Cincinnati, but still. And you don't change. Unfortunately, you don't get a change in the time zone. You're on the western fringe of that eastern time zone.
it's a travesty is what it is. I mean, look, we all understand that ESPN has a contract. They can move any game they want to Sunday night, but Major League Baseball at the same time should have told the Reds to move that game from 1 o'clock to sometime later.
And I must confess, I'm guilty. I was part of the union then, the player rep that voted in favor of Sunday night baseball.
Frank Core to the sidewall and makes the catch right up against the side railing. And that ends the inning. So Rainier has himself 5 scoreless innings. Frenchie with just enough room. Grab the railing just to make sure. Got his first big league win his last time out Monday night.
His minimal Jeep numbers right there. He hasn't walked anybody. He has kind of settled in. Got off to a little shaky start, but getting a little more comfortable and pitching better.
And Danny Echeverria has struck out and fly to right 0 for 2. So Jacob DeGrom, 102 pitches over 5 innings, 3 runs, 6 hits, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts. So the cumulative numbers his last 3 starts for Jake: 14 2/3 innings, 16 runs, 31 hits. His ERA goes up over 3 for the season, 3.04. And unless the Mets rally, his 1-loss record will go below 500 for the year. Came in at 7-7. Two and 2 to Echeverria, with the pitcher Rainier waiting on deck. Two from Smoker, and he strikes out Echeverria for the first out. 1 out and nobody on. Mets and Nats coming up tomorrow night. Let's go to the M&M Sweet Seats and to Steve Gelb. His report tonight is brought to you by M&M's, the official chocolate of the New York Mets. Steve?
Gary, Trey Turner, since he's gotten called up on July 10th, I should say. Let's just go with mid-July. He has transformed the top of that Nationals order, not dissimilar to how Jose Reyes has transformed the top of the Mets order. Since he's been in that leadoff spot, he is hitting almost 350 as compared to the rest of the Nationals leadoff hitters this season, who are hitting just 210. And Turner's especially getting it done in the first inning. This year, first inning, he has a batting average of 410. So the Nationals, with him at the top, are looking very different than the Mets have seen them at times this year.
And the other piece with Turner is a lifetime infielder. He's now playing a lot of center field for the Nats.
That's over 40 games too, Gary. That's a good body of work. That's a quarter of a season.
And they've needed Turner because some of the other guys who got off to the brilliant starts for the Nats have come back to earth, particularly Wilson Ramos. Although Ramos had a big hit last night, Urania down on strikes, back-to-back strikeouts for Smoker, but Ramos the last 16 games hitting 185. Even Daniel Murphy's cooled down just a little bit. Murph's last 22 games hitting 271. So, no. Those guys were not going to keep up the pace that they were on, so Turner's been a big addition for them.
Well, for Murph to be hitting 271, I think you'd take that from most anybody. It's just
except that he was hitting 360 before that.
Fabulous, fabulous year, just a great year. And it's quite a little batting title run here with LeMahieu and Murph going neck and neck now with just under 30 games in the season for the batting title.
Gordon slaps one foul, and it's 0-2. Well, the Mets will have the starting pitching advantage tomorrow night. Noah Syndergaard against A.J. Cole, who's taking Steven Strasburg's spot. But after that, the Mets face Roark and Scherzer Saturday and Sunday, and they'll have Gesellman and Lugo going up against them. Tough series. In the air toward the left field line. Over comes Conforto, and he runs it down. Side retired. 1-2-3 inning for Josh Smoker in the top of the 6th. Mets trying to get it started against Jose Urania. They've been held to 3 hits in 5 innings so far, down 3-0. Jay Bruce leads off in the home 6th inning. Bruce is grounded out and struck out 0 for 2. Facing Jose Urania, who's looked very good tonight.
That's hit in the air to deep right center field. Headed back toward the wall. Yelich looking up, and it's out of here. Jay Bruce gets the Mets on the board. His 28th home run of the year, his 3rd as a Met. And it cuts the Marlins lead to 3-1.
Well, that's got to feel awfully good for Jay Bruce. That's his first home run since the Mets were in Detroit.
Stayed back here. Hit the ball up at the plate. Not in front. Well done. Look at him stand back. Ball in the outside. Not enough outside. Could have covered the outside corner. That's what he needs to do. Bring it back deeper.
78 at bats since his last home run. And even with that, came into the night tied for 5th in the league in home runs. 25 with the Reds, and now 3 as a Met.
Be nice to see him getting one of his streaks.
Grounded down to 3rd. Prado's got the hop and throws out Flores one away. That Mets home run means $2,000 for No Kid Hungry, enough to provide 20,000 healthy meals courtesy of Citi. Here's Conforto, who's been on base twice. Double to left center, then was hit by a pitch in the 4th. Made a nice running grab going toward the line a few moments ago. And takes a first pitch changeup for a strike. Brian Ellington, who was just called up today, September 1st call up, gets up in the Marlins bullpen. And Conforto hits another one to left center, slicing away from Yelich, but he gets there and he drops the ball.
Oh my.
Conforto heads for second and then thinks better of it. He had already broken it down, thinking that Yelich had caught it, but he didn't. And on the error, Conforto reaches first base.
Wow, don't see that. The Gold Glover. He's got it. He took his eye off the ball. Yep, off the heel of his glove.
Yelich made a brilliant catch in the 2nd inning that saved at least 2 runs, and now just a lazy play, and he loses the fly ball.
And he is not a nonchalant player, but that is always a big wake up. I'll never do that again. That'll never happen again.
So the Mets are provided an opening. They get the tying run to the plate as a result. And Juan Nieves, the pitching coach, is going to come jogging out to the mound to make sure that Ureña's okay. And that he's not too rattled after that drop by Yelich. Remember that the regular center fielder for the Marlins is Marcelo Zuna, who hurt his wrist making a diving catch last night. That's why Yelich, who only occasionally plays center field, is out there tonight. Interestingly, last night when Ozuna came out, they moved Ichiro to center field and kept Yelich in left, played Francoeur in right. Today they have it configured differently with Francoeur in left and Ichiro in right.
So of the first 3 at-bats back in the lineup, Conforto was hit by a pitch, and the other 2 at-bats, he's driven the ball to the left center field gap.
So here is Loney, who's been intentionally walked and fly to center, trying to fight his way out of a slump. And takes low and away, ball 1.
I thought this got a little on the end of the bat of Conforto, and I was correct. You want to be able to cover that outside corner.
Ureña gets the borderline strike, 1-1. Travis d'Arnaud waiting on deck. Pitcher spot behind him. You saw Jerry Blevins is up in the Mets bullpen.
You know, when you're playing poorly, as this Marlin team is, you cannot make mistakes like that in the field. Now, there's Mattingly wanted that strike. I thought it was low. But Yelich, like I said, a Gold Glover in left field. That's a ball 999 out of 1,000 times. And you just hope that it doesn't come back to haunt you here. One swing, it's a tie ball game.
And now Ureña misses with a changeup and falls behind Loney, 3-1. Well, the leadoff home run by Bruce got the Mets started here. The error by Yelich giving the Mets an opening. And now Ureña falling behind the next hitter, 3-1. Loney hitless in his last 11 at bats. Toward the middle, but there's Echeverria. The flip for 1. Gordon the turn, and they get the double play. Side retired.
Well, you can't take a second baseman out in today's rules.
Jay Bruce, though, gets the Mets on the scoreboard. His 3rd home run as a Met. His 28th of the year. We go to the 7th at Citi Field. Marlins 3, Mets 1. And he fouls off the fastball. Here's the double play that ended the last half inning.
Kind of fell down on himself there. And he just can't take a second baseman out. You can get clocked there. Your back's to the play. You're wide open. And you could have slid into him right there, Derek.
He could have, because the rule still stands that if you can reach the bag, you can go after the fielder as long as you can maintain contact. That's right over Reyes. And in the left field, a base hit for Ichiro. But it's kind of like when they changed the collision rule at home plate. It just leaves the runners not sure what they can and what they can't do.
Well, there's Ichiro, excuse me. Soft liner, just out of the reach of Jose.
3,013 big league hits for Ichiro. And he's on to lead off the 7th Miami hit of the game. Now Prado, who's 0 for 2 in a walk tonight.
It's a good hit and run situation right here. I know it's not part of the game today, but Prado is a guy that can go the opposite field. You got a 3-1 game. Try to open up this inning. And we've heard, Gary, from the guys over there in the booth that watch the Marlins every day, that Don Mattingly is kind of an American League was a manager, was obviously an American League player. He's a base-to-base kind of guy. Doesn't put a lot of hit and runs on. Don't steal a lot.
Well, maybe it would have been different for him if he'd had D. Gordon all year, the defending National League stolen base champ.
Correct. And Ichiro can still steal a base. But I love the hit and run in this situation.
Smoker behind on Prado, 2-0.
And there's 3-0.
Misses badly. There are the city probables for the series coming up starting tomorrow night. Noah Syndergaard against A.J. Cole, just his 3rd start for the Nats.
So they've got their big ace, Max Scherzer, 15-7 as you see his numbers. If there is a rubber match, he's on the hill.
Dusty Baker had alluded yesterday to the fact that he might push Scherzer back to Monday and give him an extra day of rest. After all, the Nats have that big lead to work with, 9 games coming into the night.
It depends how this series coming up unfolds.
I think he would make that decision earlier, though, wouldn't you?
I
He's not going to wait till Saturday to make a decision.
If he's 0-2 and loses the first 2 games, I don't think he's going to push him back.
No, but I'm saying I would think he would make the decision to push him back by Friday, not wait until after the game Saturday. That's inside, ball 4, and Prado's on base for the 2nd time tonight. So the Marlins have the first 2 men on in the 7th against Smoker after he worked a 1-2-3 6th. And now will face Christian Yelich, who's been on base 3 times in a row. Fernando Salas has been up a couple of times in his first day in a Mets uniform. Yelich has walked and singled twice. He's driven in a run. He's scored a run. He's stolen 2 bases. Everything had been going right for him, including making a diving catch early in the game until he dropped that fly ball in the last half inning.
Big hole between Short, Reyes, and Johnson at 3rd.
And that's slashed just foul.
See, if you look at your defenders, Gare, in the infield, you got Reyes is holding on the runner, and I'm a pitcher. I am going to see that defensive. Oh, that is just foul. Wow, just foul. I'm going to pitch him inside. I'm not going to give him a pitch away with Yelich, who can go that way naturally. I am not going to give him that left side of the infield to plunk a little base hit. Now Reyes now is more up the middle. He's moved over. And they're letting Kelly Johnson hold on the runner, which is, I'm sorry, Flores at 2nd base, which is unusual for a left-hand hitter up there.
Yelich has 1 hit up the middle tonight and 1 through the hole on the right side. 1 to Flores' left and 1 to Flores' right.
So that's very heads up in the Mets dugout right there. That's Tim Tuffle's positioning of the infielders, particularly after that line drive that Yelich hit down the 3rd base line. Because, you know, Gary, this is a 1st and 2nd situation. This is not a situation that calls for you to pull the ball. You know, if it's a runner on 1st base and you want to set up a 1st and 3rd, fine. There's ducks on the ponds out there on the pond. You got to drive them in.
Smoker ahead 1-2. And Yelich lifts 1 to left, hit pretty well. Conforto back near the wall, and it's out of here. A 3-run homer for Christian Yelich, his 3rd opposite field home run. They've already signaled home run. Mets are throwing the ball around like there's a play. But the 3rd base umpire, Paul Emmel, immediately signaled home run. And Yelich will be allowed to circle the bases now. His 3rd opposite field home run of the series, his 18th home run of the year, and now the Marlins have a 6-1 lead.
They're going to check it here, and here's one of those plays where Ichiro kept running.
Ball and clearly hit the railing. That's a home run.
That's a tater.
So a huge night for Yelich. 3 hits, 4 RBIs, and 3 opposite field home runs in the last 3 days. They're going to check just to make sure. This is not a challenge. This is just the umpires reviewing the home run call.
Now, if it's not being, oh God,
anything above the orange line that hits any part of the railing is a home run, and that clearly hits the railing, and it's not even an issue.
If this takes more than 10 seconds, I'm going to be hot. All right.
Play under review brought to you by Mazda. And it took very little time for the umpires in Chelsea to confirm home run.
Reprieve.
It's Mike Witter's crew and Jim Joyce's crew in the bunker in Chelsea. Good on them for getting it done so quickly.
Yeah, that's a pretty obvious call.
Terry Collins will come out to make a pitching change now. So Smoker had a terrific 6th inning, but a poor 7th. Single walk, 3-run homer. Yelich having himself quite a time of it. Has driven in 4 runs tonight, and now the Mets face a 6-1 deficit in the 7th inning. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. Smoker out. Fernando Salas will make his Mets debut. From the Angels makes his Mets debut.
The 30-year-old veteran, 5-year plus in the big leagues, came up in 2010 with the hard cards. From Huatabampo, Mexico, in the state of Sonora, which is on the west coast of the Baja California area of the Gulf of California, folks.
So it's on the east coast of the Gulf of California,
yes,
across from Baja.
Yes.
Francora lifts one out to right, and Bruce is there. That's the first out of the inning. Well, Salas, remember, early in his career with the Cardinals, did some closing for them in 2011. Saved 24 games for them that year. But things have been a little bumpy for him since.
That was his best season.
This year, he got off to a good start, had a really rough middle of the year, but has been pitching very well lately, which is why the Mets got him.
Another nice arm for the Mets to have in the bullpen, a veteran arm.
Not a hard thrower by any means. Here's Xavier Scruggs, who doubled on a run in the 5th inning. And Salas gets ahead of him. Fernando Salas listed at 6'2". I'm not quite sure that he's that. Salas spent the last 2.5 years with the Angels. He gets the curveball over for a strike, 1-2.
He likes his breaking ball.
Jeff Mathis, the on deck batter.
Oh, tied him up.
Scruggs goes down with an ugly cut for the 2nd out. Here's your Verizon trivia question. We asked who was the first Mets pitcher to face the Marlins back in 1993.
Do you have a guess? Oh. Did you know that?
No.
How do you fare?
But I know it now. He threw a complete game 4-hitter.
Doc.
Shutout. Back when such things happen on a more regular basis. Jeff Mathis goes after the first pitch fastball. Mathis 1 for 2 and a walk tonight. The Marlins and the Colorado Rockies both started play the same year in 1993. And the Rockies, that's driven to left field. Back goes Conforto, and it's over his head. And Mathis, after a wide turn, will stop at first base as Conforto played that nicely off the wall and holds Mathis to a single.
Wow. That's what you call a long single. Short hops the wall, played nicely. Wasn't there long singles back in the old 1800s, Gary? What did they name some long base hits? Wasn't there an old term?
Well, the term is long hits, which is another word for extra base hits.
Okay.
That's in the record books.
Okay.
Yeah. Here's Echeverria, who's 0 for 3 tonight. Anyway, the Marlins and Rockies both started in '93. The Rockies' first ever game in '93 was at Shea Stadium, and Dwight Gooden pitched that one too, and pitched a shutout in that game too. So the 2 expansion teams that year, both times they faced the Mets for the first time, Doc shut them out.
They weren't the Bay Street Bombers?
Blake Street.
Yes, the Blake Street.
Not yet.
They weren't there yet. Who was the original manager of the first Marlins team?
It was Rene Lachemann, and the Rockies was Don Bailey. Lachemann, I remember, because the first year they played at Joe Robbie Stadium, they kept the tarp rolled up down the right field line. And we were there when they had a torrential rainstorm, and they had to roll the tarp out and right and then drag it across the infield. And they couldn't. It rained so hard, so fast that so much water got on it and weighed it down. They couldn't drag it onto the infield.
I remember that.
2-2 to Echeverria, and at one point they finally got it moving, but one of the grounds crew members fell, and they pulled the tarp over him, and they didn't realize it. And there was a guy trapped underneath the tarp, and Latch was sitting in the third base dugout watching this all play out, and came out and alerted the grounds crew. Otherwise, that guy could have been in real trouble.
Well, you remember what happened in the World Series? Was it '85 with the Kansas City Royals?
With the automatic tarp?
The automatic tarp in Busch Stadium, up the first base line. Vince Coleman got run over, and he missed the series.
Yes, he did.
Karma.
Is that in 85 or 87? I'm not sure.
I thought 87 was the Twins. I could be wrong. I thought 85 was Kansas City.
Yeah, it was. No, you're right. Flores catches the pop-up from Echeverria. That ends the inning. So it's all virtually obliterating the SNY logo, but we're very understanding about that.
Not to be confused with Russell Crowe. We tore down all those things for the game, and somehow they got back up there real quick.
Like a beautiful mind. He's ready. It's all about the preparation. Brian Ellington in to pitch the 7th inning. Travis d'Arnaud flies one down the left field side, and that'll go out of play. Miguel Rojas now playing first base. He'll bat 9th. Ellington will hit in the 6th hole as Scruggs comes out of the game. Ellington just back today with the September call-ups.
Not to be confused with the late great Duke Ellington. Hardly.
No, he's the West Florida Ellington, University of West Florida.
I was just listening to an old Duke Ellington album at home the other night on my iTunes. His great famous concert in the 60s, I believe it was, early 60s in Paris. It's a wonderful album. I believe it was a double album live. Fantastic.
How come we never wrote about the 7 train?
Yes.
If you take the 7 train.
There were some tremendous talent back then, obviously. And I was fortunate enough to be in the car driving and listening on the radio, and they had a whole hour of kind of a chronological order of Count Basie, which was just fantastic.
Skies one to right center. And Yelich squeezes this one to make sure. Big smile.
Yes.
1 out. Let's take a look at the road ahead presented by GMC. The Nats are here for 3 games starting tomorrow night. SNY tomorrow night. Picks Saturday night. ESPN Sunday night. Try and keep track. Then the Mets are in Cincinnati for 3, including a Labor Day game. Then 3 in Atlanta after an off day. And then they go to Washington for 3 more with the Nats.
So you're going to make hay. Well, you got the Nats in first. You can't get ahead of the game, folks. We're just giving you a little sneak peek. But more importantly is the series this weekend first. And you got a Cincinnati team, and you're going to have to go in there and try to make hay.
Here's De Aza pinch hitting. Well, keep this in mind. Before the Mets get to Cincinnati, The Cardinals have a series in Cincinnati starting tomorrow night. So while the Mets are playing the Nats, the Cardinals, the team they're chasing, will be trying to fatten up on the Reds before the Mets get there.
And when it's all over and done, everybody plays each other the same, except that's lousy interleague play.
Well, yes and no.
That's true. You're
I mean,
right.
you're fighting with teams from other divisions. The Mets are playing the teams in the East more.
You're right. Sorry, Gary.
The Central more.
Gary, I stand corrected.
No.
Don't worry, I can stand it. A little criticism. It was my mistake.
Would be loath to criticize you. Just trying to advance the conversation. You know, it's like you were saying before about stating the obvious. Sometimes you have to do that first before you can move on.
Esoteric from that point on.
You were paying attention. See?
I'm hanging on every word.
We all learn something every day. 2-1 to De Aza. And he takes outside. It certainly helps the Mets' cause that the Cardinals have 6 more games to go with the Cubs and 6 with the Pirates, while the Mets will be playing a lot weaker schedule. Once they get done with these 6 games with the Nationals, you've got the Reds, you've got 2 series with the Braves, you've got 2 series with the Phillies, another series with the Marlins. The Twins come in that final homestand. The Mets have the easiest schedule among the wild card contenders in the National League, but that, of course, guarantees nothing.
That's why they play the games, as they say, Gary.
While the Cardinals will be in Cincinnati this weekend, the Pirates will be hosting the Brewers. And the other thing to keep in mind this weekend is this, as De Aza ropes one foul, is that the Giants are starting a 4-game series tonight in Chicago. Now remember, the Giants start the day 2 games in front of the Cardinals, sitting in that first wild card spot, but obviously they have 4 very tough games, starting with this one tonight. They're up 4-3 in the 5th. So they could come back to the rest of the pack.
This thing is very much up in the air. The Mets have made this push here and put themselves right back into the playoff picture. They're a big part of it. And what I wanted to say earlier was, and it was a 2 outs, was that when you are making a push and there are several teams, 2 or 3 teams in front of you, first you got to get over 500. That's the first step. The Mets have done that. Second step is to get the next team up the rung of the ladder behind you. They've done that, and they've done it twice now. Now the Mets are sitting with just the Cardinals in front of them. That's where you want to be and make your push, and the Cardinals next on the list.
De Aza flies one out to Yelich. Crowd getting giddy with anticipation with every fly ball out to Christian, but I don't think he's going to drop another one.
Not going to happen.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Reyes, who has 2 of the Mets' 4 hits tonight. Jose Urena, the starter, went 6 innings, allowed a run on 4 hits, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, a hit batsman, and a home run. He's in line for his 3rd win of the year. And for Urena, his 3rd straight good start. So the Marlins have to be encouraged by that. Reyes has single to center, single to right, 2 for 3 on the night. That's his average up to .299 for the year. And he pops this one up. Should be playable for Mathis. And that retires the side. So Ellington comes in and sets the Mets down 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 7th. On to the 8th, 6-1 Miami. Or nothing. Sean Gilmartin will work the 8th inning for New York. Jacob DeGrom went the first 5, allowed 3 runs and 6 hits. Josh Smoker worked an inning plus, 3 runs, 2 hits. Fernando Salas in his Mets debut, a scoreless inning, and now Gilmartin in the 8th. And facing Miguel Rojas, who came in a double switch the last half inning. Rojas, who played shortstop last night, and to play first base, 0 for 5 in this series. And takes outside from Gilmartin, ball 1. For Gilmartin, his 2nd appearance in this series. He worked an inning on Monday night, allowed no runs and 1 hit. D. Gordon on deck, and then Ichiro Suzuki in the 8th. And the curveball in for a strike. 1-1 to Rojas. Not surprisingly, we have not gotten any medical word on Jacob DeGrom. We showed him going down the tunnel after he came out of his stint and motioning for the trainer, and Ray Ramirez following him down the tunnel. Whether there was anything to that, whether there's anything wrong with him, we have no idea. And we don't expect to hear anything about that until perhaps after the game. It could have been absolutely nothing. And we just don't know. One thing about DeGrom is that he had a lat issue back in spring training that he's been nursing for most of the year. Has not been a big deal, but it's something he's had to deal with from time to time. Taken low on a full count to Rojas. I'm sure we'll find out more when
yes,
Terry has his press conference after the game.
Well, he'll certainly be asked. It took a while for the press over there to get wise to it, but they finally got onto it.
Well, they watch.
Yeah, well, they tweet.
Rojas off the end of the bat to shallow right. Flores out to call, and that's the first out. Information travels in such different ways now than it did just a few years ago.
You know what really brings it to the fore, Gary, about how information travels, and it was really turned out to be one of the great moments last year, was the Flores debacle on the trade that didn't happen.
But as you say, it turned out to be one of the really humanizing moments.
Oh gosh, I think it was a rallying point for the team. I really do.
D. Gordon's had a rough series. He's 0 for 4 tonight, 2 for 18 in the 4 games. This is a guy who last year won a batting title, hit .427 against the Mets with 35 hits. But since coming back from his suspension, not quite the same level of play.
So next year's a big year for him. He got, you know, as you said, Gary, I love the word truncated season for him.
You really are listening.
Of course I do. It doesn't look like it. You think I'm drifting over here? I'll tell you something. I can do this over here. I hear every word because you're in my ear.
You know what it is? And this has kind of been the theme tonight. You don't have to listen to the obvious stuff, but the esoteric, you're right on top of. And you can repeat it back. I think that's great. It's kind of like how you remember every pitch of every at-bat you ever had.
Yes. It is pretty amazing. Not every, but
the esoteric ones.
It's funny, in my book that we were working on, I worked on my book today with my author on the phone, and we talked about a minor league game in '74, the year I led the league in hitting. I hit .351 in AAA, and the Cardinals came to Tulsa to play us a night game. Big for us. I'm 19 years old, 20. And the first time I played against a big league team, I'd been to big league camp, and I had a big day. And I hit a home run off of Mike Thompson, who was their sixth starter, and dead center field, had a big game. And all the articles that were written in St. Louis, because you can get everything on the internet. It's amazing. And I remember that game. I'd only remember the home run, because you know how you're going to forget that. I don't remember the sequence of pitch. I remember the pitch from Mike was a fastball away. Didn't get it away enough, got it up, and I did it over the center field fence. But to do that against the Cardinals, the major league team, was really quite a thrill. And it opened up eyes in that dugout, too.
So when they wrote the stories the next day, what did they say about you?
Well, it was quotes from the coaches. George Kissel, Harry Hat Walker was there, Bing Devine, and it was, you know, they were they're there to tout. That's their AAA team, so it's a PR thing. These are, we were in first place. We'd wind up winning the league, going away. I would lead the league in hitting. We had Hector Cruz, Mark Hill, Bob Forsch. We had a lot of John Denny, all major leaguers of the future. And so it was very much publicized because they were really proud of their AAA team. And it's also, it looks good in the organization that here we are getting, this is the new crew coming in.
So it's the St. Louis, trying to sell the St. Louis fans on the future.
Yes.
Gordon retired on a ground ball, and now Ichiro Suzuki takes a strike. And you were the future.
Yes, and I had a big game, boy. Oh, it was fun. I remember it.
Slapped out to left field, and Conforto's right there. Good inning for Sean Gilmartin. He sets the Marlins down innings.
Hard to sweep a 4-game set.
Nick Whitgren, who gave up the walk-off home run to Yoenis Cespedes Monday night, will come into pitch the bottom of the 8th. He'll face 3 left-hand hitters, Granderson, Johnson, and Bruce, and you saw his numbers very good against left-hand hitters. And Granderson takes a fastball for a strike. Well, Neil Walker can at least stand and watch.
Can't be happy.
He held court with the writers before the game tonight to talk about his impending surgery. Microdiscectomy.
Which means, in layman's terms?
Means they're going to remove the herniated disc. 3-month recovery time. He felt as though he was told that he could go out and play, but he felt, and the doctors felt, as though he could make the injury a lot worse if he continued to play.
Is he going to get the disc removed? Is that what you said?
Well, it's discectomy. Yeah, ectomy means they take it out.
Oh, so they've come a long way then. As they got the technology now to put a replacement in there, I believe, which wasn't around in my time.
Well, I'm not fully aware of the medical procedure, but what Neil said is that he could go out there and play, but that he'd risk injuring it worse, and that he'd be playing at maybe 60% of capacity. He was going out there at times over the last couple of months with his toe completely numb because of the disc pressing on the nerve.
Sure.
Which led to weakness in his legs and numbness in his feet. And, you know, you can only imagine how that affects you on the field.
The severity of the bulge or the rupture is how, I'm not a doctor, but I've had back surgery, is how far, if it runs down to your toes, all the way down your leg, that's not good.
And that's basically what the doctors said.
Mine ran down all the way down to almost my ankle when I did mine. And it is 24/7, Gary. There's just not okay. It's okay for now. There's a constant pinching of that nerve. And then you can do damage to the nerve if you don't get it taken care of.
Of course, the complicating factor in all that for Neil is Granderson drives one toward the gap in left center field, and that'll go back to the wall. So Curtis with his first hit of the night, an opposite field double. As the Mets try and start the long climb back.
Well, it goes the other way in the breaking ball. Nice to see Curtis using the opposite field and driving the ball into left center field.
So the Mets have their 5th hit of the night. And now Kelly Johnson has gone 0 for 3. I was going to say the complicating factor for Neil in all these considerations is he is tortured, I'm sure, by the fact that he so much wants to help this team win. And he's been such an enormous piece of the puzzle for the Mets this year in his only year with this team. But that's balanced against the fact he's going to be a free agent at the end of this season. And he needs to be a healthy player in order to be a desirable free agent.
People are going to take a look and take pause that he's had back surgery.
But certainly if he played and made it worse, that would compromise his value even more. So it's a hard decision, and I'm sure difficult emotionally for him to thread that needle.
We have a guy in that Marlin dugout who had a great career curtailed and shortened due to back problems. And of course, I'm talking about Don Mattingly. Don was one of the most prolific offensive first basemen and players in baseball, and the back was cruel to him.
He was able to continue playing, but as a diminished player after being one of the elite hitters in the game.
That slap toward the hole, a base hit for Johnson. Granderson to third. He'll stop there, and the Mets have something working here in the 8th. First and third and nobody out. So both Granderson and Johnson going the other way against Whitgren, who's been so tough on lefties this year.
Well, Mattingly does not want this game to get away. I believe they're going to get to the phones here and get something up in that bullpen.
Keep in mind, A.J. Ramos, who usually works the 8th inning, threw 30 pitches last night and may not be available. So it'll be interesting to see if they do get somebody up, who it's going to be.
Be Barraclough.
I would think. Barraclough pitched last night but did not go the night before, and he didn't have a tough inning last night.
There comes Juan Nieves, the pitching coach. I think he's stalling for time. There is definitely someone up in that bullpen. They're getting
is Barraclough.
Yeah, and he doesn't seem to be in a hurry. He's kind of prancing over. There you go. Come on, start throwing. Just
drive around the majors presented by Chevy. Not a lot going on in the majors tonight, but the start of that 4-game series at Wrigley. The Giants up 4-3 on the Cubs as they play in the bottom of the 6th. Hunter Pence hit a 2-run homer in the first off Mike Montgomery, who started that game for Chicago. Jeff Samardzija, another so-so start for the Giants. It's been up and down.
okay. Let's see how it shakes.
Well, Jay Bruce accounted for the only Met run tonight with a home run in the 6th. Logan Verrett standing around in the Mets bullpen. Bruce's home run was his 28th of the year, his 3rd as a Met. That's 5 runs behind, but first and third and nobody out in the last of the 8th. And Bruce takes out of the strike zone for ball 1. Granderson at third, Johnson at first with nobody out. And Bruce takes a strike. 1-1. Wilmer Flores waits on deck. Keep in mind that although Cespedes and Cabrera were both held out of the lineup tonight, both are available to pinch hit. And that could work for the Mets as they go down toward the bottom of the batting order. Two and one to Bruce. Jay is 4 for 11 in this series now with a double and a home run. Best series he's had in a while.
Boy, Yelich. I think that's a bit shallow out in center again.
Yeah, he's been playing shallow all day, and it served him well a couple of times.
Well, it's 8th inning, and you've got a 5-run lead. Power hitter up there.
I don't know why Whitgren's throwing to first. Johnson's not going anywhere.
Not 6-1. So we'd be screaming on the bench. You should have got him when he was up at the plate. A little bench jockeying.
They still do that?
I don't think so. I'm not sure. I doubt it.
Off speed pitch, and Bruce couldn't find it. 2-2. Jay's 27th game as a Met. 96 at bats and just starting to find his way. Lays off the breaking ball, and now it's 3-2. These are better turns at bat for Bruce.
He's laying off the bad breaking ball in the dirt. Let's see what he throws here. Gonna keep the ball away. I know that. Doesn't want to give up a 3-run tie.
Well, he got that second strike with the changeup. We'll go back to that.
Third pitch, fastball away. Stick with your number one.
3-2.
And he lines one the other way. A base hit. Granderson in to score. 3 straight hits for the Mets to start the 8th. Bruce with his second RBI of the night. It's now 6-2. 3 straight opposite field hits by the 3 left-hand hitters.
Well, that might be something to get Bruce rolling. It was a pitcher's pitch, outside corner, knee high, and he didn't try to pull it. That might get him going.
Well, that's going to be all for Whitgren. Whitgren came in with the lefties hitting just 190 against him, and the 3 left-hand hitters, Granderson, Johnson, and Bruce, all took him the other way for base hits. He'll exit, and Barraclough will come in to face Wilmer Flores. Mets now down 6-2 in the 8th. We'll be right back to Citi Field. Outs per 9 inning number than Kyle Barraclough.
Well, this is his 3rd appearance in this series, and he has been terrific. He has had a terrific year. We loved his stuff last year when we saw him for the first time. Hard thrower, big, strong horse.
3 straight hits to start this last of the 8th inning. A run is in. Johnson at second, Bruce at first, nobody out. Wilmer Flores 0 for 3 tonight.
Going in.
And the pitch is away, and Wilmer foul tips it for strike 1.
See, they can't put it where they always want it, Gare. Thank goodness.
Cespedes, batting gloves on, ready for the call. Michael Conforto is on deck. Let's need one more base runner to get the tying run to the plate in this 8th inning. And Flores takes a fastball strike, and it's 0-2.
How funny is that? He set up inside first pitch, threw it on the outside for a ball. Wilmer swung it and missed. Set up outside, and he threw his inside corner strike. 0-2.
Barraclough averaging 14.4 strikeouts per 9 innings.
He's good.
100 strikeouts, leading all National League relievers. He's ahead on Flores 0-2. And Wilmer lays off the slider. Wilmer started the night with a 9-game hitting streak, 0 for 3 tonight. One-two. He fouls away the fastball. That's about to fight from behind in every game in this series. They've gotten big late hits. Tonight trying to come from 5 runs down in the 8th, a hard thing to do. One-two.
Good eye.
And again, he stops the swing on the slider. 2-2. Last night in Colorado, the Dodgers came from 6 runs down in the 8th to win. But that doesn't happen very often. Got a better shot in Colorado. Flores has worked his way back to 2-2. And Wilmer gets jammed but fights it off.
Barraclough has not located his fastball, but every time he's missed, and he's thrown, I think, 4 and missed at bat, he's missed on the opposite corner, not over the middle.
Seventh pitch of the at-bat coming to Flores. And Wilmer takes it up and in. Full count. You know what surprises me, Keith? We have not seen Fernando Rodney in this series. I would have thought that Mattingly would get Rodney at least up here in the 8th inning.
5-run lead, Gare. Oh, I see what you're saying. Just get him up.
I mean now. Because this could go in a hurry. 3-2. And the breaking ball inside, ball 4.
Barraclough got ahead 0-2, and he winds up walking Flores to load the bases. And that'll get the tying run to the plate with Michael Conforto coming up.
That'll get your manager mad. Little Archie Bell in the drills here.
Well, that was a great at bat for Flores.
Tremendous at bat by Wilmer. But I can hear Archie singing, "Do the tighten up."
So here is Conforto, first game back from the minor leagues. Had a double his first time up. Got hit by a pitch in the leg in the fourth, and then hit a fly ball that Yelich dropped in the sixth. And the table is set for him. Bases loaded, nobody out. Conforto the tying run at the plate.
Outfielders deep, straight up.
Michael takes the backdoor breaking ball for a strike.
They weren't going to give the kid a first pitch fastball. There's your outfield defense. Fairly straight up, but deep. Yelich no longer playing in.
And there is Yoenis Cespedes out on deck to bat for James Loney. Breaking ball down, 1-1.
That's the breaking ball that Conforto was chasing before he got sent down. Well, this is getting a little dicey. Nice.
3 straight hits by Granderson, Johnson, and Bruce. A walk to Flores. 1-1 to Conforto. And Michael goes after the slider. So 3 straight breaking balls from Barraclough, and it's 1-2.
Good slider there. May not have been a strike, tough one to lay off, but a good pitcher's pitch.
One-two coming.
Good at bat right there. Good fight off that backdoor breaking ball, protecting the plate.
And his four straight sliders thrown by Barraclough.
Well, if he hangs one, he may be rubbing up a new one.
Cespedes waiting to pinch hit.
Wants the fastball up high. Didn't.
Back to the mound. Barraclough comes home, gets the out there. Mathis to first for the double play. He finally threw a fastball, and he got Conforto to hit the comebacker into the 1-2-3 double play.
But he did not locate it again. Not one fastball did he locate, Gary, on that at bat. Watch, the catcher was set up high for a high fastball. It's down and in. But he put it down and in, got it in the corner, got in on Conforto's hands, and it's easy. Watch, look at the catcher, look at the target, look what the pitch is. Down and in.
So now Cespedes will come up to pinch hit, but he's no longer the tying run, and first base is open.
Well, you need one blast to get back into the game. They're not going to walk Cespedes and put a potential grand slam to tie the game.
You wouldn't think so.
He hits a 3-run home run at 6-5.
Cespedes has a pinch hit home run this year. It was a 3-run homer. It was on a first pitch.
Just keep the ball away from him. If I was on the opposing team, he might be looking middle in for 2 strikes. But just try to wail on one and make it a 1-run game.
Well, that double play was huge.
Yes, it was.
Bruce now at third. Flores at second with 2 out. Cespedes 2 for 3 and a walk last night. 5 for 13 in this series, including his walk-off home run on Monday. So Barraclough keeps it away from him.
We talked about the September call-ups, and Terry has himself going to have himself the rest of this season a nice bench. And now Cespedes is going to play in the majority of the games, but it's a nice guy to put up here in this spot.
And Barraclough picks off the outside corner, 1-1.
Yes, he did. As he better.
So after throwing all those breaking balls to Conforto, a couple of fastballs to Cespedes, is 1-1. And a big rip. 1-2.
Isn't that interesting? The young hitter in Conforto, all breaking balls. Here's the veteran power hitter, 20-something home runs. 2 straight fastballs here, right after him. It's a great game. Great game tonight. Great game, period, when it's played at this level.
Now Barraclough ahead 1-2. And Cespedes goes down swinging on the fastball to end the inning. The Mets had a run in, bases loaded, and nobody out, and Barraclough slams the door.
Well, no messing around.
6-2 Miami. Mets. He'll bat ninth. Logan Verrett came back a couple of days ago to fill a spot in the bullpen. He'll pitch the ninth inning. He'll hit 7th in the order.
Well, Verrett, you could see the numbers. He kind of, as a starter, they're your Jeep numbers, of course. Got sent down, struggled as a starter. But here he is back, and he's going to eat up the ninth inning.
Martin Prado 0 for 2 with a couple of walks. Leads off in the top of the ninth. Prado 3 for 14 in this series, and Verrett starts him off with a slider for ball 1. Christian Yelich, who's had the big night for the Marlins, is on deck, and then Jeff Francoeur. Pulled down to third, and Kelly Johnson handles it. Prado retired one away. By the way, for Rene Rivera, it's his 11th career appearance at first base, but his first as a Met. Well, here's Christian Yelich, 3 home runs in this series, all the other way.
There's his first. Segunda, same spot, a little more left. And tonight. And this was the big changer in the ball game right here. All 3 home runs, down and away, belt high away, not away enough, and above the belt. Don't pitch him away.
That's a good answer.
If it was that easy.
Yelich tonight 3 for 3, a walk, 4 RBIs, 2 runs scored, 2 stolen bases. That's a night. The dark spot was a drop fly ball in center, but he made up for that with a great catch in center. That's pounded on the ground down to Rivera, knocks it down with his body right into his glove and gets the out.
It's like he's behind the plate.
Exactly. That's the way a catcher plays first base. Bart loves it.
Well, Bart's seen a lot of baseball over his years. He got it off the breast.
Looked like he had the chest protector on the way he was knocking that ball off his the M in Mets.
Good work.
Perfectly done.
Francoeur got a big double in this ball game. Drove in a run in that 5th inning.
That made it 2-0 at the time against Jacob DeGrom. Marlins would go up 3-0, and then after Bruce homered in the 6th, Yelich hit the 3-run homer in the 7th that opened the game up. Francoeur 1 for 4 on the night. Pitcher spot is due up next, and Robert Andino is out on deck to be a pinch hitter.
So it's going to be Rodney, who hasn't pitched in this series, I would assume.
Little dribbler, tough play. Verrett off the mound to barehanded, wide throw, and Francoeur is safe.
Well, that's 2 today that were thrown wide at first base. Earlier, one thrown wide inside the line, similar to this. By DeGrom.
When the pitcher hit, Urania, he wound up with an infield hit, and this is an infield hit for Francoeur. So now Robert Andino will be the pinch hitter. He's had 1 at bat in this series, grounded out last night. Mendino, who had been out of the big leagues for a couple of years, back with the organization that first signed him, Miami native. In the bottom of the ninth, the Mets will have 8, 9, and 1 on the order. d'Arnaud, Rivera, and Reyes due up. They had their big chance in the 8th. A run in, bases loaded, nobody out, tying run at the plate. But Barraclough got Conforto on the comebacker double play and struck out Cespedes to get through it.
Well, he kind of threw a palm ball here, didn't he? And thus, the bad throw.
More like a changeup grip than a fastball. Good sinker by Logan, 2-1. And that misses to Andino, 3-1. Jacob DeGrom went 5 tonight, allowed 3 runs, 6 hits. Certainly not as bad as his previous 2 starts, but certainly not what Jacob would have wanted. He walked 4 in the first 3 innings, which really built his pitch count early, and then he gave up a couple of runs in the 5th that sealed his night. Andino pops it up, and Flores retreats to call. That retires the side. Last licks for the Mets as they come up in the bottom of the ninth, down 6-2. Post game. Mets down 6-2 as we go to the bottom of the ninth, and the Marlins closer Fernando Rodney comes in.
He with the hat askew, Garen, would that be the right term?
That's a good word.
He with the bow and arrow.
Well, remember when the Mets last saw the Marlins had just gotten Rodney. He was pitching the 8th inning, and A.J. Ramos the 9th, and the Mets tore into Rodney, hit a couple of home runs against him. And then when Ramos got hurt and fractured his finger, Rodney went to the 9th inning, and he's been thriving ever since. I guess he was just born to close. 39-year-old who started the season in San Diego.
Born to wonder. Rare earth, Gare.
Nice. Very nice. I just want to celebrate.
Yes.
Travis d'Arnaud leads off in the last of the ninth. Rene Rivera to follow, and then Jose Reyes against Rodney. Non-save situation for him tonight, and he misses outside to d'Arnaud, 1-0. 261 saves in his major league career, including a league-leading 48 for Seattle 2 years ago. And he overpowers d'Arnaud, 1-1. Rodney's allowed only 3 home runs all year, and 2 of them came against the Mets in just 5 2/3 innings. Didn't get the call on that fastball. 2-1. And as Drupal Cabrera is out on deck, we had been told that the Mets double switched when Rivera came in. Perhaps not. So Cabrera is batting either for the pitcher or for Rivera. I would have to assume that Rivera is then hitting 7th and the pitcher's hitting 9th, even though the scoreboard lineup has it the other way. Otherwise, there was no reason to double switch.
Correct.
That goes to the backstop, 3-2. And d'Arnaud pops one foul. Long run for Rojas to the railing and runs out of room. d'Arnaud is 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. Rodney trying to finish it off for Jose Urena, who looked good for his 6 innings tonight. And a little tapper past the mound. Gordon comes in to play it. The quick toss. And he got him by an eyelash if he did. We'll wait to see if the Mets challenge this. Gordon took his time. And d'Arnaud was busting. And he might have beaten it. Let's see.
That's close as close can get.
Well, the Mets are challenging. And they're going to win the challenge.
Yes, they are.
So good hustle by d'Arnaud. He was busting right out of the box as Gordon really took his time, figuring that he had longer than he actually did. And that enabled d'Arnaud to beat it. And the Mets are going to win this challenge. Play under review brought to you by Mazda Driving Matters. Mike Winter's crew and Jim Joyce's crew are in the replay center in Chelsea.
Should be a quickie.
And they've all been quick tonight because they've all been obvious. That's the second one that the first base umpire Tim Timmons has had overturned in this game.
I would be. I don't know. I would if I won't. I'm not going there.
So here is Cabrera, and we'll have to try and find out whether he's batting for Rivera or for Barrett, because it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense that he's batting for Rivera.
Feel like the guy in that Chinatown. It's like Jake, it's Chinatown.
Just accept it.
But poor Faye Dunaway.
My daughter, my sister.
Was John Huston a skunk in that movie?
Yes, he was.
Woo.
Cabrera getting the night off tonight just to rest that achy knee. He was 0 for 4 in last night's game, 2 for 9 in this series. And he hooks one down the right field line, headed toward the corner. That ball is out of here.
Oh, as Dribble Cabrera with a pinch hit 2-run homer. And now it's a 6-4 Marlins lead with nobody out in the ninth.
How about Cabrera?
Number 18 for his Dribble Cabrera.
And for the Mets, their 10th pinch hit home run of the season.
Well, Terry's finally got a bench.
Now it's Reyes, who's 2 for 4, and he jumps back, ball 1, and the Mets continue to attack Rodney like no other team has.
It was an off-speed pitch. He let go with one hand.
Rodney's given up 4 home runs this year. 3 of the 4 have come to New York. Now Reyes needs to get on to get the tying run to the plate.
There it is. Off-speed. A little bit too, not enough away. Let go with one hand, got the fat of the bat on it.
Granderson standing on deck. And Rodney gets a very generous strike call from Jordan Baker. And it's 1-2. Whereas Dribble Cabrera, his first career pinch hit home run. Reyes gets a piece of the fastball to foul it off. That's threatened in the 8th, but got turned aside, threatening again in the 9th. And Reyes goes down swinging on the changeup for the first out. Man's had a great changeup for a long time.
Made a living on it. See the sink, not a strike. Reyes chased.
And Math was able to hold the foul tip before it hit the dirt. So that's the first out of the inning. Now Granderson, who got the Mets started in the 8th with an opposite field double, 1 for 4 on the night. Mets were down 6-1 when they came to bat in the bottom of the 8th. Got a run. Had the bases loaded, nobody out. Couldn't score further. Now a 2-run pinch hit home run by Cabrera has gotten them closer. But still more work to do. Need another base runner. Kelly Johnson's on deck. And a fastball inside, a ball and a strike. Jay Bruce behind Johnson. Burris looking for his first hit ever against Fernando Rodney. 0 for 7. And the fastball high, 2-1. Curtis has been much more selective in this series. He's drawn 5 walks, something he did a lot last year and less this year. But he's got 4 hits and 9 at bats with those 5 walks, including 2 home runs. He hits this one out to left, but right at Frank Core for the second out. So that leaves the Mets down to their final out of the night. And Kelly Johnson will try and keep the Mets alive.
Well, the Mets have fight. They don't lay down and die. And that is something that has been very much a signature of this team over the tenure of Terry Collins.
Kelly Johnson 1 for 4 tonight. Had a base hit to left field his last time up. If he can get aboard, that would bring Jay Bruce to the plate as the tying run.
We can hope. Met fans, you can hope.
And now Rodney behind on Johnson, 2-0. Boy, every time we've seen Rodney in these non-save situations this year, he has struggled. Fouled off, 2-1. Check out Mets blog for a new episode of Inside the Park with Steve Gelbs. This week, Steve talks to Mets beat writer James Wagner of the New York Times about the wild card and Kelly Johnson's offensive surge in August on Mets blog presented by Citi. 2-1 to Johnson. And Kelly takes a strike on the inside corner. Again, Rodney got that call on the inside block from Jordan Baker.
Well, he's borderline. Let's see. Hey, it's on the it's close, and they gave it to the pitcher. It's not. It's fine.
Leaves the Mets down to their final strike. And Johnson slugs one out to left, but Frank Core is right there. And the Marlins take this one and salvage the finale of the 4-game series. Just the Mets' 3rd loss in their last 12 games. They go down fighting after Cabrera's 2-run pinch hit home run in the bottom of the 9th. But a 3rd straight disappointing start for Jacob DeGrom, and the Marlins win this game 6-4.
Well, from the Marlins standpoint, a must win. They came into this game behind the Mets. The Mets had pushed them back in the wild card 2 games, had a chance to shove them back 3. That would have been very bad, and plus getting swept. So now they're back to 2 games back in the hunt. They got to feel good about themselves. The Mets taking 3 out of 4 on the other end. You got to feel good about themselves too. Bring on the Nationals.
Game summary presented by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Mets now 4 games over 500. Christian Yelich homering for the